Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 53 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Nate from Hansen Screen Printing in Wisconsin. Let's go! Shirt show!
What's up?
Hey, dude, check this out. See what that? You know who it is?
Who?
You know what it is, I mean?
Is it the Tootsie Pop owl? The hell's it? Oh, beer opener?
Mm-hmm. Champagne. It's a champagne opener.
So you put the beer in its ass?
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, hold on.
So first off, hold on. We said we were recording, but check. Do we have audio?
I don't know. Do we? Baby, beer. I love you.
Yeah, I heard that. I got you.
Okay, good.
I was picking that up. So did you get my text?
I did.
And I said something like poop, piss. Blah, blah. You know, I don't have my headphones in.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Psst, psst, psst. Can you hear me?
Got it.
Can you hear me?
One more time.
Hey, can you hear me good? Is this soothing? Sweet nothings.
We should do the whole podcast like that.
Hey, what's up? Hey, Hanson.
How'd you?
Shh. He starts talking like normally, and we're like, whoa. Shh.
Yeah, he'd be like, I'm out.
Then he's like, yeah, I own Hansen Screen Printing. Dude,
You started this thing?
I ordered the book because I normally order it to put it on the shelf because I want to have like our books on the shelf. And then I found out there's no audio version.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I had somebody message me that, and I don't think there is. And I was going to start this book today, but fuck it, I'll start tomorrow.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. No, actually, I did start it, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the cover, don't you? Isn't that cool?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
So, for those that are listening and not watching, I was holding up our next book in the book club, and it is by Action Bronson, and it's called "Fuck It, I'll Start Tomorrow: A True Story."
Our June book.
All right, so yeah, we have some sponsors. You know, one of our sponsors is Easy Way, and Easy Way's line of eco-friendly chemicals will get the job done faster, more efficiently, and will cost you a fraction of the cost per screen. Man, my ears just like almost blew up from that text. My computer, my phone, and did you hear that? Can you hear it?
I can hear it now, yeah.
Anyway, did you hear what I said about Easy Way?
I did, and to me, it just seems like it's the easiest way.
Easiest way.
Well, let's run down. It's been a little while. Let's run down the list here. They got screen wash, emulsion remover, stain remover, on press cleaner, degreasers, washout booths, which I just bought one. I bought their big stainless one. Dip tanks, filtration systems, recirculating systems, spray systems, and more. It's the easiest way, guys. That's all.
Thanks, Dylan. All. Ready?
Yep.
I got a story after this, so.
Oh, God. All right. Bring it in. I love how you had to clear your throat for me to do it.
Well, yeah.
It's because we're one. It's because we're one human.
It is.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Go ahead.
That's right. Well, here's my story. Are you ready? You see this? You see this notepad, sticky notes?
Yep.
It sits on my desk. Why? Because it is a badge of honor. It feels really good. I created this art. I drew that. I made this button, and it sits on my desk, and I like to look at it. Reminds me of Frank. Well, Kayla, who works here, she was in here, and I'm like, I have not gotten her. For some reason, I don't have her phone number. And so if she's not going to be here or whatever, we have to text, right? Well, I'm like, hey, we need your number. Let me have it. She picks this up. It's on the corner of my desk. She picks this up and she starts to tear this off.
And you fired
and I'm like, oh, no. So I screamed in agony. This almost was destroyed.
Crying.
Like, You picked this up and start to tear this off, and she just like stared at me after I was freaking out. And
it would have been better if in like one swoop she grabbed it and crumbled it like all in one move in her hand.
Well, yeah. So we almost lost this. What I'm trying to say is this this precious button almost got torn off. This piece of paper almost got torn off.
You need to have like a glass case for it when it's not in use.
I know. You're right. I need one.
Like one of those like memorabilia things.
That's right. Yeah, so I can still see it, right? But it's like untouched. It's not. It's
got its own spotlight.
Fireproof, bulletproof, the whole thing. Well,
so let's talk about Frank and the company that he is at, Graphic Screen Fashion.
Oh, you wanted me? That was my part?
Yeah, that was your part.
Well, Frank and his team, I'll tell you what, they're experts at one thing. Maybe more, but I like to say it just sounds better. Like, hey, we're experts at one thing.
They're the screen guys. They're the guys you go to get screens. If you want to narrow it down, that's what they're there for.
That's what it is. I mean, sure they do some other things, but it's unbelievable what the thing they got going on there. Yeah. I mean, they stretch screens, they re-stretch screens, and they do it expertly. Right?
They used to make racks and job carts, pre-pressed supplies, emulsions, reclaim chemicals, and squeegees.
That's right. Graphic Screen Faction.com. Monarch is our other sponsor, and they have a kick-ass mixing system. It's my favorite thing about them. It's super high opacity, very easy to use. It's a beautiful thing. Monarch, ink better, print better, be better.
Lev Moss, Monarch.
We said that at the exact same time in harmony. And then we talked about everything. So we're going to sit in silence for 4 minutes and meditate.
Do you got to go pee-pee before we start?
I don't.
You go pee-pee in the potty?
I don't. Do you? What's on your shirt? Sharks?
It's my Jaws shirt.
I like that. It's a good beach shirt.
Beach. Yeah, you're being a real beach right now.
Yeah, I know. Who's dad?
I'm not doing anything.
Dad. We're bringing dad in now too.
Don't bring dad in. Hey, Dad.
Hey, yeah, this is I think I had this set up for some soccer meetings for my daughters. And
are you my real dad?
Did you want me to be?
We look like we could be.
Yeah. Did you clean your room? Did you do your 15 minutes of chores today?
No, I didn't earn my allowance.
That's our biggest thing right now. I've got 3 daughters, 17, 16, and 14. And my wife are like, 15 minutes is all we ask. That's just vacuum, do something. And she just sent the text to the family group and said, I can see nobody's doing their 15 minutes of chores that they should be doing, but I hope she wasn't referring to me.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
I've been here.
So what's going on, man?
Not much. Just cleaned out my garage today. I got a 3-car garage that was just jam-packed full of shit that I needed to do something with, and came down here. My typical Sunday routine is come down here and get ready for the week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did some pretty good dad projects today too. I mowed at the shop. I mowed at the house. I just did a ton of like stuff in the house.
And like a real man mows his grass, like he cuts his own grass, isn't that
right?
True?
He doesn't pay somebody to do it for him.
No.
Well, that's a fucking chore to me.
Oh, really? I love it.
Oh, yeah. It's a chore. I've got, I think, like 2/3 of an acre, but it's like, how can I get this done as fast as possible? Running over dog toys and sticks. And I told my wife, I said, I need to hire somebody to do this because I got.
Right? Exactly.
I got to prioritize. And
that's right.
For me, my priority is being here, being a one-man operation. I got emails to respond to. I got mock-ups to approve or that need to be approved. I've got screens.
What you meant to say is that you wanted to be sitting on your lawnmower just chilling in the sun, doing circles over and over again until your lawn looks immaculate.
Yeah. Well, I've got my neighbor across the street literally sits down in his front yard with like scissors and cuts dandelions out. And every time I mow and he's outside, I'm like, oh, he is going to be so pissed at me because I'm blowing all my shit into his yard. And I'm at like 6. I'm full throttle, just get it done. But
my dad, I definitely get it from my dad because he like super cares for his yard. But he's the guy when he buys like a new riding lawnmower, he installs like USBs so he can charge his phone. He has like a cup holder. He buys like an air horn so when he can hit the horn so the dog doesn't like run in front of the lawnmower.
Yeah,
he like just tricks it out because it's like his favorite thing.
Well, you'd think with 3 teenage girls, you'd be like, hey, get on the lawnmower, but
get out here and mow this.
When I did construction for a long time before I started my own shop here, and I'd send him a text driving home from Madison. I'm from Wisconsin, if you guys didn't know that, but and I'd say, hey, I don't care who it is, one of you needs to mow, and the other one can weed whack, and the other one can, do other shit in the yard. And my oldest daughter, I remember one time she sent me a text. It's literally the worst, and I'm literally in tears right now, crying, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just do it. Fuck it, I'll do it.
You caved.
Yeah, just play on your phone.
Yeah.
Being from Wisconsin, do you get the holy shit, is this Brett Favre a lot? Because when you just said that, I'm like, oh my God, this dude looks like Brett Favre for sure.
No, I mean, I don't have the gray in my beard, but
it does look like Brett Favre.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
I always people ask you for autographs.
Like if you had a beard trimmer that you just did like a steady, one layer, you would look just like Brett Favre.
Well, thanks. I'm a Giants fan though.
Well, then never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where's he playing now? I think he tried, isn't he back?
Favre?
Maybe not.
No, I think he's coaching somewhere. He might have like a dementia thing going on from being hit so many years.
I don't know anything about sports ball, so don't bring me into the sports questions.
I'm a baseball guy myself, but
I've never understood like when a player like him is such a legend in where he's from, and then he retires, but then comes out of retirement to play somewhere else and like a rival or something like that. Like, wouldn't it be like if I was doing it and I was, like the marquee legend sports dude of that town, I would just retire in that city and just like live it up. Like, why would you want to go somewhere else? Like St. Louis had Pujols, and so he had it made. Like he was the guy here for so many years, and then he goes away. It's so sad. I don't know. I've never understood that.
Well, I think they're dealing with that right now with Aaron Rodgers and his drama. I don't know if you follow Andy. But
oh yeah.
He's like, I'm not playing, blah, blah. He was in Hawaii, like at a karaoke bar when they all should have been practicing and stuff. So it's great because a lot of my friends are all Packer fans, and I kind of rubbed in their face that their quarterback doesn't even want to play for them. And
so you're from Wisconsin. Why are you a Giants fan? Is it because of Dylan?
Because New York's cooler.
It's because of Dylan.
Right.
No, it's actually my first recollection of football was Super Bowl 21, I believe it was, or it was against the Bills. And it was the shanked Buffalo Bill field goal. And I remember like, oh, that team won. I like them. So I was one field goal away from being a Bills fan if they would have made it.
So it was New York either way then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose so. Yeah.
Right.
New York.
Just opposite ends of the state.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about Hansen screen printing. You said you were in construction at first?
Yeah, I found out I was having a kid in geometry class, and I needed to get a real job with benefits and health insurance, and so I did that for 18 years. But I also printed and learned to print in high school, so I did that as a side hustle and a hobby. My first recollection of like printing was my brother and his friend used to have like turntables and synthesizers. Well, Moog is a big name brand for that. And I remember they used to buy the Speedball kit when I was like 10 or 11, and they'd have the drawing fluid and they'd delicately draw the Moog logo on a screen, and they'd print these and sell them on eBay for like $40 a piece. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing in there? You know, and they're just going to Walmart, getting bags of shirts. But that's what I remember from a kid. And like I said, I learned in high school, did it as a hobby in my apartment, speedball kit stuff, and construction took a lot of time away from that. But I got to the point a few years ago where my body was getting beat up, and I didn't want to work with a bunch of morons anymore.
What were you doing construction wise? Were you
masonry,
like a laborer? Masonry?
Yeah, I was a mason tender. So
we have, I don't know if I've ever talked about this or not, but like my street here, it's like an industrial street, and there's only two big businesses. There's us, and then directly across the street is a mason union. So like, it's funny because they just do like classes there basically. Mm-hmm. And like huge trucks will pull up, like massive trucks will pull up with like nothing but block and like brick and all this stuff. And they'll unload the whole thing, and they'll just have all the students like just build walls in this warehouse. Like all they're doing is building like a wall. And then when they're done with it, they knock it down, throw it in a dumpster, and start over.
Yeah. I was the guy that just carried all those block around all day long and shoveled the mortar and built the scaffold. And, you know, the last 5 years of me doing it, I think I worked harder than I did my whole career, just because the lack of help and skilled trade. You try to teach these kids that come in that, hey, if we can do this, and this, and I'll bust our ass for an hour, 2 hours, the rest of the week you can right. Sit around and smoke cigarettes and play on your phone.
Right.
But they just constantly wanted to, they didn't figure it out. And I have the work ethic that somebody's got to pick up the slack. And that was always me, which I was compensated for it. And it still wasn't enough. I'm like, you know what? I'm done.
Well, it's funny. They're always the instructor guys. They're there all year long. Like they're kind of like, they got it made basically. Like they're just hanging out at that building all week, even if nothing's going on. So most of the time I see them like walking around town, getting coffee. And then because they only have the classes like in the late fall and winter, when like you guys normally wouldn't have work, or you'd be laid off for the winter or whatever. But they're always talking about how like they're paying like crazy money, like, like $25, $30 an hour for these jobs. And it's their job as the union to like get workers or whatever. And they're like, we can't find anybody to work. This is like before the whole problem we have now. Like just like normal times, they were having such a hard time like finding people that want to do manual labor.
Yeah.
Like anybody to do any of that stuff. But even now it's like way worse. But
yeah, for me, it was, I've got a responsibility to make money and provide for my family. Yeah. So I just grind it out. Where I'm located in Wisconsin, if you draw a line in between Chicago and Madison, I'm directly in the middle of that, and Rockford and Milwaukee. So I would travel to Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago, Rockford every day for work. So, sometimes you're driving an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes one way, show up to the job site at Sprinkles, and they're like, let's get the fuck out of here, because they all want to go to the bar. You don't get paid for your gas. You don't get paid for your time to drive there. And it's just like, this isn't worth it anymore.
Right. That sucks. So you said you were dabbling in printing before, kind of as a hobby, even while you were doing construction?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 2000, when the economy took a shit, what was it? 2008, 2009, about that time, I started printing a lot more. I got the speedball kits and, did that. The screens that I was making, I ended up going to Goodwill and just buying wooden picture frames. And I was stretching like sheer curtains over it as tight as I could and just stapling it to it, because I didn't know any better, And then you mix your emulsion and you fuck it up 5-6 times to get a halfway decent print out of it. But a lot of my friends had their own businesses and bands and stuff, so I was printing for them as a hobby, and I needed something to make some money when the unemployment was, running out.
Right.
So, and at that time there was no work at all anywhere. It was pretty bad for construction. And that's
so you were doing that out of your house?
Yeah, I was married and then divorced. I had an apartment with my 3 kids. We split them custody 50-50. So half the time that I didn't have the kids there, I was printing or trying to do some sort of side hustle, whether it's buy bicycles from Goodwill or old record players and fix them up and sell them and make a buck off of them. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at what point, I guess, in that side hustle did you were like, oh, like, did you upgrade presses? Did you get to the point where you're just like, I could make a living doing this versus just a hobby?
Yeah, I built a couple presses just out of 2x4s and wood and stuff. And it was just a lot of one color design stuff.
Right.
Doing it out of your house with a heat gun.
Mm-hmm.
It takes some time and money to be able to build up something. I didn't really get into it until this opportunity came up where I'm at now. A friend of mine, his dad owned this shop for 30 years in the area and he wanted to get out of it. And I used to help him on the side when I was slow, laid off a little bit. He'd have me come in and stack shirts and do odd stuff for him, reclaim screens and stuff. So when I found out he was retiring, I'm like, I need to get the hell out of this construction shit before I can't walk when I'm 48 years old. And my now wife is like, just do it. You know, you can always go back to construction if you want to. And yeah, I just bit the bullet and jumped into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I before you go further, I had a thought, and I was just talking about this with Ryan. And how do you say his last name? I can't remember. Kasperian?
Yeah.
Okay. He was here in town. He was passing through, and he's on his way to, I think it's Ohio or something like that. And we were here talking about, because we're talking about like either a screen printing union or either like an association that trains you. You know how you were talking, Dylan, just a minute ago about there's this union that actually trains you how to build a wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people show up there, they build a wall, knock it down, next group comes in and they actually train you to do that kind of stuff. I mean, wouldn't that be cool if there was an association that we all like paid into, not every month or anything like that, like not like the union does it, but just a way that you can go learn how to screen print, because that doesn't exist for our industry, and it's a massive industry.
I've thought about that. Even if there was some kind of like accreditation thing, like you could just send, like, say you got a new employee that's super green, you could just pay for them to go there for like 2 weeks and just like fully be trained by like the best. And
you get certified. So like if you hire
certification
somebody,
is what I'm talking about. Like, hey, you know your shit, here's a certification.
Right. Like if there was that, and let's say it doesn't matter where it's at, Dallas, Atlanta, you know, nobody cares. Just so long, wherever that association is, you could fly them there and for a week or something, you know, you just kind of go through the basics. I mean, we can do that here, but it's just different. It's different when we're in and I guess we do that here. You know what I mean? But
right. But it's one of those things. It's kind of like, we talked about this before, but it's like, if you were, the barrier of entry for screen printing is so easy. Like you can buy a speedball kit or you can do whatever. And then you just teach yourself and you use YouTube and everything else. That doesn't necessarily mean it's always like the right way to do it. You know what I mean? You figure it out. Like even now, like me and you, we've been doing it for, you know, over 10 years and it's still like, we're still figuring shit out all the time. Right. Like if there was some dude who was just like, all right, I've done all that already, and they have a class and you can just go there and get like fully trained on like the by the book way to do everything. And then you can take your own artistic spin on it and do all this, whatever you want to do. But as long as you could get those basics down, I know like Ryanette does classes and stuff, but I feel like a lot of it's just like super intro basic stuff.
Yeah. And there could be like different levels, and you can be like level 1 screen printer, and then you get certified for like
belts.
Yeah, like belts. You know, you could be a black belt one day, you know, and so you would know how to, like, you don't necessarily have to learn it all. Like that first week, you could just learn the press or whatever, not necessarily the screen room. You know what I mean? Like you could go and get different certifications, and then you could say, look, you know, I'm worth this much, you know, I'm worth this much more because I have all this shit. I know how to do all this stuff.
Right.
And so, I mean, we do a little bit of that here, you know, when we have cross training. So like there's somebody here that, for example, Rachel, she's the embroidery manager, but she also is certified to check in so she can do shipping and receiving. She's certified for quality control. And so she's cross-trained, right? And so if somebody's out, like what's this going to happen next week, she's actually going to spend most of her day in shipping and receiving. But we had to train her to do all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Nate, how do you feel about it? Is that something that you would be interested in doing?
Yeah. I mean, right now actually did just hire my first employee on the books.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. He's only going to be here for 6 weeks because I hired him like 3 months ago and I said, hey man, I got to put you on payroll. I can't be, as much as it sucks to have to pay taxes and payroll taxes and work, but he's a friend of my wife's, went to high school with her and a friend of mine as well. So it's nice because he's done printing before a little bit here and there, but I had him in here reclaiming screens, stuff like that. And I haven't reached out to the high school, just looking for kids if they're interested in it to come in here, start them on reclaim, start them on the manual press, stuff like that. But they actually took that out of the high school curriculum. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, but they're bringing it back this year. So I'm hoping that I can pull a couple kids that want to learn a little bit more about it and take what they learned in school that's fresh in their head and actually see it on the job.
Well, it's funny because I had there's a teacher I had as an English teacher in high school that we're actually pretty close with. Like she's part of like a troop group. What is it? Like Boy Scouts troop or whatever. And they always order their stuff from here. And she always comes in and asks us about the family and, all this other stuff. And she's just like a good friend. And, I was talking to her about like how our school doesn't have any, like screen printing or anything. Like, why is that not a part of like even art class, like, a 2-week course or whatever? I told her, I was like, I'll donate. I got tons of stuff. I'll donate screens, squeegees, time. Like I'll go up there and I'll teach whoever wants to teach it, like how to do it first, or like donate the film printer or whatever. Like if they need supplies, like I will help you. But
would you do that?
You're recruiting and you're like, hey, come work for me. And
well, that's the thing. That's the thing is like, I'm not at all trying to do it as like, I don't know, like
to be a nice guy.
Selfishly, I'm trying to honestly do it because I love the craft and it would be like a nice thing to do. But like lately, we've even thought about it where I kind of want to hit up the superintendent of the high school because, I want to be like, hey, do you have any like good students that just want to like not go to college and like chill and just get like a job and they're just like good kids? Because I will gladly like bring them in and mold them and like have them work here because I'm having such a hard time right now trying to hire somebody to work here.
There's actually a youth. Sorry, there's a youth apprenticeship program. Last week, the woman that's in charge of it, I knew her from high school, and she stopped by and said, hey, there's a lot of kids that are into graphic design and art stuff. And I'm like, I will send out so many different designs for them to separate. Like, here you go. Cause I do all my SEPs and everything. So it's like,
right.
I sit down all day long. Now that I have him in the back on a manual press, or sometimes I set him on the auto if it's just, one color, something that he's comfortable with. But otherwise it's just all night long separating designs, and I could sub that out, but, I have before in the past. It's just, trying to find those people.
I had, my buddy there, he actually left and decided he was done with printing and moved away. But he was that shop in Binghamton that I talked about a couple of times where like, I didn't want to step on his toes. I didn't want to like take anything from his territory down the city. But it was funny when he had his shop, he like bragged about it every year where like he was so close to the university to BU that basically he got free like interns, like all, when school was in session, like when college was happening, he would just get like interns to do, printing and, front desk and like all this stuff, like basically like free labor from the school. And I was like, there's no way I could do that. Most of those kids are taking the bus to like get to his place. I was like, they're not going to come all the way out to me. Like I'm 20 minutes out of the way compared to him being like right down the street. But it's like, I'm not looking for free labor either. I'm just looking for people that are interested in like learning this craft instead of someone being like, how do I get a paycheck?
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a lady, I posted something the other day about hiring here, and I've got like very few people interested. I got one the other day from a lady asking what the age limit was to work here. Like she was probably in her 80s.
You didn't answer, right?
No.
Yeah, you can't.
I just like ignored it. What is like age limit?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I just put in a job posting on Facebook. So not like a post on Facebook, but you know how you can actually create
I did that exact same thing yesterday, and I paid to boost it. I put like $100 on it.
I did too. Well, I put $30 a day for 5 days, so 150. Yeah. And guess what? I probably have, and I just got 2 while we were talking. I probably have.
I hate you right now.
I don't know how qualified they are, but I probably have 6 applications.
I did mine yesterday morning, and I have had 0 people.
Was your ad, did they accept it or did they reject it?
It got accepted. It's out. It's available. I have such a small pool compared to St. Louis. Like
what did you write? Maybe you needed to write something nicer.
I said, would you like to work for Lord Dillon? You will bow before me and scrub my feet and
for free,
stuff like that for free. Like
yeah.
you need to, work for a little while for free until I see what you're worth.
I don't know. So we'll see. I mean, it wasn't for a printer though. So maybe that's why I lucked out. It was for help up front, customer service specialist.
That's kind of my biggest issue that I'm having right now is this office right here is right where the storefront is. And I have on the door by appointment only in 4 different spots. So sometimes I'm up here sending emails out or separating artwork, getting films printed, getting ready for jobs that I need to get done. And people are just banging on the door. And I have a hard time like pointing to the sign because then they're like, wow, this guy's a dick. I'm not coming back to him.
Right.
So I don't have you guys experienced that in the past where you're a one man? Well, Andy, you said you're out of your garage and, how do you avoid that situation as far as, not sounding like a dick and be like, hey, I'm by appointment only. Got to get this shit done. But then it kind of makes them feel like, oh, well, my time isn't as important as what you're doing right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I always, if I see somebody or if they have seen me, and let's say it's a Saturday and I'm in here doing something and even if our door is locked and they're tugging on it and they see our car out front, a lot of times I'll open up and just, because I always have this fear of they're here to pick something up that's already printed. And we forgot they didn't get it on Friday or something, and they're going to be hating on us. And so I'm like, hey, you here to pick something up? And I'm hoping they say yes, because they can just grab it and they're not upset or whatever. But a lot of times it just happened yesterday. I was giving a shop tour and somebody was here and I just asked them, hey, how can I help you? And they said they wanted to place a shirt order. And so I started talking to them. I mean, it's hard to turn away somebody like that. But you're right. It's, I don't know what you could do. I mean, they can see in, like there's a glass door or something or a glass window.
Yeah, there's a glass door and a glass window. I mean, my biggest thing is when I do, I let them in 10 times, every time I let them in, but I feel like I'm not really giving them my full, cause in the back of my mind, oh man, this is running 45 minutes already. There's nothing going on in the back except I'm wasting energy by having that dryer running,
and you don't want them. Yeah. You don't want them thinking or ever, cause in your mind, you're like, God, I got to go do this and got to do this. And you don't want them to pick up on that, like that you're trying to rush it or whatever. And so I think that is your next hire, isn't it? I mean, you have this person that's helping you. I didn't understand, like you said, if he was only there for 6 more weeks though. Yeah.
He's going to grad school for some sort of art stuff in Milwaukee, but he told my wife, he goes, man, if I would have known about this, I wouldn't have gone to grad school because I'm comfortable. I'm happy being here. And I'm like, right on. Yeah, that's That's what I'm looking for, Just
You're like, yeah, whatever cancellation fees you have for school, like I will cover.
Yeah.
I encourage you to drop out of school and come work for me.
It's like Zach. Like last year or the year before, like hired someone, Zach, and he was our screen tech guy. Like he came in. I didn't know this kid at all. I just heard of him because he was a friend of Sarah's, and he came in and started working. And we love Zach. Zach's like part of the family. Like he's part of the group. Like great dude, hard worker. But the problem is he told us like when he started working here, he's like, yeah, and like literally in like 4 years, I'm gonna like join the Air Force. Like that's what I'm doing. I'm working here to like save my money for like my pilot's license, and I'm like doing school while I'm here, like whatever. But just so you know, I'm leaving. And it sucks because he's like a good worker. And like I'm gonna hate the day when he leaves. Cause like right now we just upgraded him to like running the auto because we needed someone to fill that spot. And he was like, I'll do it. So now he's like running jobs, and he came in yesterday and like cleaned screens when he didn't have to. And I was like, fuck, I really hate to lose Zach. So yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So like, that's kind of where I'm at, to where I'm just like counting my weeks down, to where it's like, all right. And he does everything, he started out reclaiming screens, and I've got an old Javelin 6.8, dinosaur. That registration's a little shaky. I need someone to come and take a look at it. But I have to print these little 50,000 of these canvas bags for Land's End.
50,000.
But I have till Christmas to do it because a local guy makes ornaments for Land's End, but he has to provide the bag. So it's like a little 4x6 canvas bag, and I have it all set up, and I just say, here you go. Make sure there's no threads, stuff like that. So while he's printing on the auto, printing those bags, I can print on the 4.4 manual and try to get jobs out.
So he's just printing bags all day long.
Not necessarily all day long. Sometimes I'll throw them on the manual if it's a 1 color, 2 color.
Well, you got time, but are you going to get that done early, or are you going to make it like right up till Christmas?
So
by your smirk, I'm guessing like January 20 or December 23rd.
What's your output? So are you doing a couple thousand a day?
So each box has 1,300 bags in it, and we can pump that out in 4 hours.
All right.
So I on the pallets, I have it set up so I can print 4 at a time. I tried doing 8 at a time, but it just, you got to put all the bags on the pallet tape, and
right.
And that was kind of a bone that the previous owner threw to me, because when I first got in here, I bought all of his equipment. I upgraded a couple things. I bought just a silver press for live event stuff. Just for 1 color design, stuff like that I want to start doing a little bit more of. And so that auto, I had no idea how to run that thing. And Matt from Mikey Designs, he had a lot of videos that helped me figure that thing out.
That's
and
awesome.
So now I just need to get someone in here and mess with the registration. I mean, after about 100 shirts, it kind of gets off a little bit, so I need to tweak it. But
have you tried calling a tech yet and see if they come out?
So actually, before you guys started this podcast, I a salesman from GFS or GSF came in here, Bob Eisenach. I don't know if you know who that is. Mm-hmm. He's one of Frank's guys, but he came in here, asked if I needed anything. He actually gave me a phone number for a local guy to come look at that press. But that's kind of where I'm stuck right now. Is I'd like to upgrade that auto, keep that 4 color manual, but that auto, I have a flashback on the first head. Third head, the fourth head I have off for another flash unit to roll in there. That's on a sensor. So I'm really not gaining, I go from a 4 color to a 5 color auto. So there's a lot of jobs that I can't do that I really want to do, instead of subbing it out and then praying that jobs that I sub out get here in time. That's another issue. That's another issue that I've been having, to where people come in, hey, I want this design. It's like, well, that's a 6-color job. I can't do that here. I know somebody that can. I'll sub it out, and then it's like, hey,
Are
where's
you
my shit?
telling the customer that, or are you just taking it like you would normally would and then subbing it?
It depends on who it is. And it depends on the run. If it's a big run of shirts, even stuff that I can't really tackle on the auto, because that I don't want 350 shirts on the auto and registration gets off for a 4-color print, and then I'm fucked for the last 200 of them. So it's like, do I really want to take on this 4-color front, 4-color back, and 1-color sleeve print on the manual, or do I want to sub that out? Typically I try to stay honest with them. And that's my biggest thing when customers come in here. It's, this is what I can do right now. Right. I know people that I work with that would be able to fulfill this order.
Have you gone through and done a lot of the math? Like, do you have a good printer that you can sub stuff out to? Like, are they doing good work in a good amount of time, or?
Yeah, there's one in Chicago that does some stuff for me, but they're busy as hell too. So
right. I just wonder if it makes sense if you like do the math, if you're like, okay, anything 1 to 2 color I could do in my shop because I don't really have to worry about registration as much. I can knock it out either on the manual or the auto. And then anything over that I could sub out and still make money on, but I can spend a lot of my time focusing on those 1 to 2 color prints until you make enough to upgrade to.
So that's where I'm at right now. Yeah. That's exactly what I do. But like I said, I need to, number one, hire somebody up here to answer emails, phone calls, somebody that, could possibly do my SEPs for me. While I either get screens ready in the back for jobs or stay on the manual or the auto while another employee is on the opposite one.
Right.
I haven't talked to you for very long, but I here's 2 moves I would make right away. Do what you just said. Hire somebody for the front, like that can take phone calls or emails, quote stuff, like do multiple things for you. If somebody does walk in, they can help that customer with pickups or whatever it is. Hire somebody because you're about ready to lose this person in a few weeks. Hire somebody to just assist you. They don't even have to print. Mm-hmm. Just they can reclaim, they can tape up screens, clean screens, whatever that stuff is, whatever you need, offload on the auto or anything, and so that's my 2 hires immediately. Like, I know it's hard, easier said than done, but those are my first 2 hires. And then I like Dylan's idea, sort of, but me personally, I would want the capabilities of printing almost anything that came in, or, I don't want to send out.
I'm saying sub out until you can get enough to do it yourself. 100%. But I would go and get no brainer. I would go get a 10-color, 12-color press.
And that's what I'm looking at.
That's
reliable, not one that, just one that's reliable that holds registration that I can print 10, 12 colors on. Well, not print 10 or 12 colors, but a 10 or 12 color that I can print 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colors on. And that way I can quote and bid on anything. I can do it, here, keep it in your shop. And I don't know, I see that as the fastest. I don't know if you're trying to grow, you know what I mean? Because I have this next question here that talks about your pedal press. And I'm like, that's what I want to.
Don't get there yet.
I'm trying to downsize. Yeah, you don't have to talk about that yet. But ultimately, I'm going to end up with that pedal press. I'm not going to have a single auto, and I'm going to be on the beach with a pedal press. So maybe that's your, that's right. We. And so I don't know, man. Maybe it isn't.
See, my argument for Andy though is that I'm the mindset of don't buy it until you can buy it. He's like, yeah, go get a 10 or 12 color press. Well, that right there is $100,000. Mm-hmm. So it's save your money until you can buy it. Don't be like, oh, I need this now, and then go get $100,000 in debt.
You don't have to get a Cobra or a Gauntlet 3. It doesn't have to be $100,000.
Yeah, but you'd better get what you need now, because if you buy a shit press and then you hate yourself in 3 years because it's falling apart all the time, like I did.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm growing. I did a lot more in sales than I thought I would the first year open. And, I'm like, holy shit, I can actually do this. I was scared shitless going into it, because it's like, I'm going from a union job, good paying job, benefits. My wife's a chiropractor in town, and we own her building. And
hold on,
so she doesn't.
I got to stop you real quick.
Okay,
is it real? Does it actually help people, or is it a scam?
It helps me.
He's on a podcast. He's not going to, come on.
Just we'll edit this out. It's fine. Cause hold on. I want to go into this real quick, because I have a bad back, and I was like, oh, obviously I got to go to the chiropractor. So I went to the chiropractor, and like the first 2 times the dude was like, all right, like, let's kind of figure out what's wrong with you. As soon as they did like the scan or the x-ray or whatever, and he was like, oh, this is what's wrong. Literally he wanted me to come like 3 days a week. And I was like, dude, I can't fucking come here like 3 days a week. Like, it's not going to happen. I was like, I could do like 1 day a week. And he's like, all right, 1 day a week. So I would like go there. I would pay like whatever it was, like $40 every visit. And he would like pull me in the room and be like, okay, same neck crack every time. And then he would like, I'm a big dude. I'm like 6'2", like 300 pounds. This guy's like 100 pounds soaking wet, maybe 4 feet tall. And like, he like mounts me on my back, tries to crack my lower back, doesn't work. He's like, maybe next time. And then like, I was in there for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So here's the thing. How many years, how old are you?
33.
33. Okay. So for 33 years, your body has been overcompensating itself for so long that it takes a lot longer for your body to function how it should be.
Right.
If that makes sense. So the three visits a week. So like, that's how my wife is kind of set up. 3 visits a week for 3 weeks. I don't know how she does it. I'd rather not talk.
Don't let her listen to this. It's fine.
So she probably won't. I said, I'm doing this podcast. She goes, oh, that sounds fun. It's like me listening to her talk to some chiropractors that I don't really know what the hell they're talking about.
Well,
anyway, she's got to get you back to.
She goes to a chiropractor, and my answer to this is that I think it depends on the chiropractor, just like it depends on the screen printer. There's lousy screen printers and there's great ones. So I think that Joanne went to a chiropractor that did kind of what you said. They just set her up on a program, didn't really care. In and out, charge you, here's, pay me. And she got tired of that. It's like, look, this isn't working. And she was recommended by our trainer, a different chiropractor. And now she goes there and she says, it's awesome. Like, that guy knows what he's doing. He cares, and it makes her better. And so I think it's just a matter of like who you go to.
Yeah.
So I did masonry. Like I said, I did masonry for almost 18 years. And every week I go in there, get adjusted, and I feel great. And where she was at before, she was doing some sort of internship thing, and they wanted to pay her like $20,000 a year. And she's like, no, I'm not doing it. What they like to do is like get people in, get people out, get people in.
Wait. So she charges you, your wife charges you to do your own. Because you should just stay home. She's like, hey, can you just do this here at home? Do I have to go in there?
Well, that's the issue too. Cause when I'm at home, I'm like, oh, could you adjust my neck for me quick? She goes, my office hours are blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what the hell, man? Mm-hmm. But where she's at now, with her patients, she says, you know what? I'm not going to tell you when you should come in here. You can make that decision on your own. But I can tell you what is going to help you long-term, if that makes sense.
She's crisscrossing them.
Well, do you sit on your wallet?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yes and no. It depends on what I'm doing. But yeah, I get what you're saying. My thing is, it's just because I'm a big guy, like I'm a heavier guy. Yeah. Like that's why my lower back hurt. Like, it's funny, anytime you go to the doctor to get a checkup, or you go anywhere to do anything, they're just like, hey, maybe you should eat less. And I'm just like, cool, thanks. Like, I didn't know that already before I walked in here.
Yeah. So going back to what I was saying, when I quit, we didn't have health insurance. And we're like, shit, we've got 3 kids. So it was really scary to take that plunge. But, when I bought all this equipment, the guy was like, are you sure you want to do this? Cause he knew he did it for 30 years. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And my wife said, you're miserable where you're at. You're driving, 4 hours a day, fuck it, just do it.
Right.
You know, make it work.
How long ago was this that you did it?
This was 2019, so 2 years. But like I said, I was printing.
But the thing is, like you said, though, is that you could easily take this risk, and then if it didn't work out, you could fall back on your trade. Like, you were a skilled, trained guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a smart move. Like, if you can, obviously it's working for you. Like, keep doing it. But the nice thing is you have a skill to fall back on.
Right. Yeah. No, it's tough right now. Like I was saying, I'm at the point where I realize I can't do it all, and that's hard for me. And my three daughters are all high school age. So they don't give a shit if I'm home or not. My wife's watching Lost right now. She doesn't care what I'm doing, you know, so she gets that if I need to be here at nighttime to prep for the next day, or if a lot of times what happens is I'll be printing in the back and I have my overhead door with windows in it looking right into where I'm printing, and people realize the front door's locked by appointment only. They'll come around the back door and start banging on that door. So I'm like, shit, I didn't get that job done that I wanted to. I didn't return those emails that I wanted to. I got to come back and, you know, hit deadlines, which I'm fine with. There's no problem with it. That's all part of the gig. But
how many hours are you putting in a week? Or what would you guess?
I would say 15, 16 hours a day. So Saturdays and Sundays are, you know, a lot of times I'll come in here after the kids go to bed and everyone goes to sleep. So I'll work from like 9 to 2 in the morning.
I did that
1 in the morning. Yeah. I mean, and it's part of growing, I guess, with the business. And
I just want to let you know that the part where you were saying you had expectations for that day when you got there in the morning and things went to hell and not everything worked out the way you did, that never ends. Like, that's,
oh, I know that. I know
that's not going to ever go away.
Yeah.
Cause something always throws you off all day long.
I talked to my wife about, she's like, how was your day? I'm like, I didn't fucking finish that job that I wanted to. And I got to go back, or, you know, the pallets are heated up and then somebody comes in and then next thing you know, they're not anymore.
Right.
You know,
Wasted.
and then, right. So then it's like, she's like, well, you've been doing it for, you know, you did it at home and you did it here and you've been doing it for a while. You should have it kind of figured out. I'm like, there's so much shit that can go wrong like that. And
I agree with Andy though. I think if you got somebody to focus on the front end and all you had to focus on was production and stuff like that, I bet you would instantly see a dramatic change in
your quality of life too. Like 15 hours a day is a lot, you know, I mean,
it's less than that. It's probably less. It's probably 12, 13.
Yeah, but that's a lot though, you know?
Right. I mean, yeah, it is.
Anything over 2 or 3 for Andy is just like pushing.
But if you put it in perspective, I was doing that for 18 years. You know, you'd wake up at 4 a.m. and drive to Madison, get there by 6,
right?
Work till 3:30 and then drive home. That's a 12-hour day right there. You just spent 4 hours listening to wrestling podcasts and you know,
the truth of it is like, I don't mind long days because I love being here. So like for you, it's like, it's your passion project. Like you're building your business, you're working on the shit that you want to work on. The truth of it is for me is if I was like, I cut myself off and I went home at 4:30, I'd be bored out of my mind. Like I would rather be here until it's like, okay, it's time to go home because I have to eat dinner and do A, B, C, and D. Like I want to be here as much as I can. I'm here now. I'm here on Sunday. I was here yesterday doing stuff. It's like, I like being here. This is where I want to be.
And that's where I'm at too. So it's even though 12, 13 hours sounds like, oh, it's grueling, but it's, you know, same thing. If I go home and sit on the couch, I fall asleep, whether it's 2 p.m., 1 o'clock, I can't sit down and watch TV.
Yeah.
You know, that's why mowing is a chore to me. It's like, I got so much other shit I could be doing right now. You know, I could be separating that artwork for that job that needs to be done in, you know, 10 days, or I could be, you know, coating screens. I don't have to reclaim anymore, so that's good. Not so much. I used to have to reclaim every, 2 or 3 days.
Because you got the other guy doing it, right?
Yeah. Yep. And he's got to drive down and see Frank tomorrow because I've got about 40 frames that he's picking up right now.
I wish I was close enough to drive down and see Frank.
Yeah, me too.
It's about an hour and about an hour for me.
It's not bad.
So it's not bad of a drive. It just, I used to drive by myself, and I'm like, shit, I'm not at the shop getting production. There's no production happening right now.
Yeah.
So
I think that, I think your story, I think what you're saying about the 12, 13-hour days is probably resonates with a lot of shops or a lot of shop owners. I mean, I think we've all been there and we all are still there sometimes. I mean, not every single day, but there's certainly weeks, even last week, I was just saying to Dylan when we first got on that I love and hate short weeks. Like, we were closed on Monday and that just destroyed. Yeah, that we were closed on Memorial Day and that destroyed the rest of our week, whether it was with shipping or just getting jobs done on time and like the surge of people that came on Tuesday instead of, because it was just like kind of doubled up or amplified on Tuesday because, we were closed on Monday. And so, I mean, we definitely still have those times where we put in long hours and I love those days too. And I'm not complaining about those. I'm just saying that I think if you do that for all the time, like if it's always, 15 hours or something, even on weekends, or you said you worked less on weekends. I mean, that is going to be, I just think that, I don't know how long you can do that before you burn out. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about is burnout because you personally, you Dylan and you Nate and me, I think we know like, hey, this is our thing and this is our passion and burnout is a little different for us than it is for your team. And so
us and the team is a big difference. Like if my guys are putting in the amount of hours that I'm here doing things I want to do, they're like, I want to fucking go home. Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to think about screen printing when they're home. They love their job when they're here, but when they go home, they got their own hobbies and their own shit.
I had that issue with like over Memorial Day. It was a 3-day weekend and I know that we needed screens. We had a job that we needed 81 screens for on Tuesday, and which means we had to have a fuckload of clean screens. And
you had a job that had 81 screens?
81.
How?
It wasn't an 81 color print.
No, I know, but it was like 35 ink changes.
It was just name drops, all like different. Every name drop was 2 color. It was a black and gray, and there was 40, I think, something like that, name drops. And so we had, and that's 81 screens in addition. That was just one job in addition to all of our other stuff. Right. And so here I was ending, there was the end of the day, Friday. And I knew that we needed to come in and get screens ready, but I also knew that what that meant. Oh, okay, sure. You're like, we have this 3-day weekend and you're going to come in on a Saturday and we're going to spend all Saturday trying to, clean a bunch of screens for the week. And I didn't like that idea. And so because then they're going to come in not fresh, like a 3-day weekend is a big deal. And, or maybe they have actually family that are veterans and they have stuff to do. You know what I mean? They don't want to work on a Monday. And so I don't know, man, it's complicated. And I think a lot of shop owners have to juggle overtime versus burnout. Like at what point have you, and you talked about when you came from masonry and it sounded like you had mandatory overtime and a lot of commuting, that you were putting in those hours. And I just think that, I don't know, you gotta be careful gotta watch out for burnout. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the 4-day work week option? Have you explored that at all?
I thought about it.
I thought about it.
I know a shop that does do it. And here's the thing. Like, I think if we did that and we did 4 10-hour days and then production was shut down on Friday, you'd end up working
Friday.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how you couldn't, it just wouldn't work. We fired the presses in print. I mean, I wouldn't be able to handle those presses just sitting turned off all day Friday. I'd be like, that's fucked up. Something's wrong. Like it just doesn't feel right. So
but you're making up the hours by doing 10-hour days instead of 8-hour days.
That's not necessarily true. We, when I was doing masonry, they were like, yeah, four 10-hour days, blah, blah, blah. Well, after 7.5 hours, you don't get shit done.
Right.
In the last 2.5 hours, because everyone's like, oh, fuck, these 10-hour days, they're just lagging. They take forever. And,
that's true.
you know,
I'm thinking about that.
I didn't think about that.
So once 7 hours hits, they're like, oh shit, we have 3 more hours.
Or they're hungry.
Right. They're, oh, we need to take,
well, that was
another break.
That was the biggest reason why I decided to have like the kitchen and the snacks, like shop snacks, because literally everybody around like 2:30, 3 o'clock is always like, oh, who's going to the ice cream store? Or like, what do we got for snacks? Or, oh, did you bring anything in? It's like, you can tell they're all just like kind of getting hangry. And like, I still want them to produce for like another 3 hours. So it's like, oh, snacks are there. Cause now like if they're hungry and they, don't feel like working because they're so hungry, they can just run in and grab something and go back to work. But yeah, I could see how like at like 8 hours, you're like, oh man, I used to go home at 5 o'clock. Now I'm here till 6:30 or whatever.
And then that pisses people off too. Cause if they have to commute, that's another 20 minutes or whatever. I'm sure for you, everyone's closer, but they're like, oh, I'm not going to be home till I'm going to miss my kid's T-ball game, or I'm going to miss this, or I'm going to, so those 10-hour days always sucked for a lot of us.
I found that almost everybody here will start early, but almost nobody wants to stay late. Everybody's pretty cool with coming in early. If we ever have a situation where like, oh shit, we've got a lot to do. Let's have an early start.
This is a complete opposite here.
We're down for coming in early, but when 5 o'clock hits, that's it.
Which is really funny too, because like, I know you start early, but we don't. We start at like 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And I have trouble. Like I have to have talks with multiple people who work here to get here at 9 o'clock. Like Brian, like I can talk shit about this because we've talked about shit. This is like an 11-year argument that like he cannot get here by 9 to save his life. Like he'll get here by 9 when we first hire somebody, so he can like put on good face that like he's on time. And as soon as that wears off, he's back to like 9:45 every single day.
Does he stay up late? He's like gaming until like 2 a.m.
I don't know. Like, I don't think so, but still it's like he just can't get here. Like it takes 15 minutes to get here from his house. So if he gets here at 9:45, he doesn't leave his home until 9:30. It's like you're already a half hour late before you walk out your door. Like, how is this a thing? And it's like, it's just funny. I mean, he makes up for it. Like he stays later. Like he stays another half hour, 45 minutes later, but it's just funny. It's like,
I like doing that
here by 9 o'clock.
I like having a staggered, starts and ends. I think that like if we have 2 people in embroidery, I like the idea of somebody being here at 7:30 and somebody maybe coming in a little later so that we have like a larger amount of time covered. You know what I mean? So a lot of times customers will want to come here and pick up at 5:30, but if everybody's gone, well, then that doesn't work. So I think it's cool if somebody says to me, like this Brian guy, if he was like, look, can I just start at 10 o'clock every day?
Right. But I'm here till 6.
Yeah, like, right. So as long as he's putting in, well, then maybe that makes sense for you. I mean, maybe it makes sense for him too. He's just not a morning person, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
What time do you start, Nate?
You're
like 4:30.
No, I thought I was a morning person because I used to have to wake up so damn early and commute. But now I can't get out of bed till, 7. I'm here. The sign says 8 to 4. That way I can flip it and then still continue to get jobs done till 6. So, and that's strictly for setting up appointments. Like I'm open 8 to 4. Typically I don't do any appointments till after, 2:30, just so that way it doesn't break up my day if somebody comes at 10 or, hey, can I come at noon? It's like, we're eating lunch.
Dude, I hate that so bad. People do that to us all the time. They're like, hey, I'm driving an hour away to have this meeting with you. Is it cool if I get there at noon? And I'm always like, oh, like that's literally like everyone here, noon, shut down. We eat lunch for an hour and then we go back to it. And it's like, they always want to make appointments at noon.
You got to stagger your front too. So that's what we do.
So
We have
so nobody can eat lunch together. Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean,
Well, we all like to gather like on the couch and put stuff on TV and we watch videos together. So it's like, it's kind of nice having lunch together. And a lot of times we make shit together. Like Sarah made like Wool Grill, or she made like sloppy joes and tater tots the other day. We all just like ate it together. So it's kind of nice. It's like family lunches. But yeah, it makes total sense to stagger it. Like you said, like someone's up front when other people are eating.
I get the sense that you have more social time than like actual work time at your shop. Like for the most part, you're just like hanging out. And I'm not saying that this is bad. This is probably,
It's not like we are working. I know we always joke about it.
Well,
I'm doing YouTube and stuff, but we do generally try to make time for each other and like hang out together and do things together.
You know how you and I are going to go in on
important.
this pedal bike? I have a feeling like I'm going to be doing all the pedaling and you're going to be doing all of the like, hey, arranging for, lunches or in the YouTube.
Yeah, but I'm going to be the hype man and everyone's going to want to come to our fucking bike print thing because I'm there making the party.
Okay.
And you're going to be like pedaling, grumpy that I'm not pedaling.
So
Yeah, pedal
Andy,
bike.
we were in,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
we were down in Key West 2 weeks ago, or no, maybe about a month ago. I don't know. What day is it today? And there was an actual shop that when you were talking about, you want to go to Florida maybe, or there's a shop that it's a 4-color manual press. The window flips open and it's one dude printing one color prints. Coast, I think it's Coast to Coast, something Coast printing. And I walked by, I'm like, oh, that is cool. I could do that, but it's just funny that you brought that up on the last episode. Yeah.
We were talking about
like
it.
$30 or whatever. And it's just a one.
Yeah. I bought them. I bought one, it was a like a 3413 or a 3001. I don't remember anymore, but I'm just like, I got to buy one. I got to,
It's awesome.
old wooden frames.
Why not,
cool.
man? He's just chilling on the beach, making money and living, surviving. Yeah, me and Andy were talking about that the other day. He told me a long time ago that was his goal, is to retire and someday and just have a 10-color manual or something and just chill on the beach all day and print. But the other day I asked him if I could join and he said yes. So
yeah.
So we're gonna try. So tell us about your badass bike.
So there was a couple girls in the area. They had since moved to Colorado. They used to do a lot of live printing for farmers markets, stuff like that. Which is, it's cool of them because right now they sent all their business to me. It was kind of like nice. when I first started is when they were leaving and they were still fulfilling orders in Wisconsin from Colorado. So they're shipping everything and they're like, we can't do this anymore. So they used to do a lot of live printing, but it was the basic, box frames underneath. And I'm like, what can I do that's a little different? So I got a friend of mine who owns a coffee shop has a 3-wheel bicycle. And he's like, yeah, I want to build a box here and just serve coffee. And I'm like, shit, that'd be a pretty cool idea to, put that silver press on the back and take it to events. But the only problem I have right there with that is I don't have another conveyor dryer, so I'm in the process of buying one right now. I just flash everything and
You get that D100, man.
That's what I was wondering. What is that? Is that 18 inches? Do you have one of those?
I have two. I have a couple of them. That's what we use for live printing. We don't use flashes. That terrifies me.
But he's going to have to get like a generator, so
it's the same with a flash.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. I was talking about
is
that.
A regular 110 outlet.
Mm-hmm.
You can just plug it in at whatever you're live printing. Most events that you're printing at can supply power.
Yeah. There's a lot of farmers markets that people want me to bring that bike to, and it's like in the middle of a field. I'm like,
that's the thing too. I actually looked at it. I actually looked at it before for our live printing because we haven't had it yet, but I was just kind of being prepared for one of those events, like you're saying, where you're kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. I'm pretty sure if you get one of those Honda, those quiet ones, that has enough amperage to run the D100 by itself.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
it does.
So if you bought one of those, it would run that.
Yeah.
Barely.
And the nice thing is it's quiet too. So
Mhm.
it's not like you're like bah, when you're trying to like print shirts all day.
And talk to people. Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of trial and error with that bike just because, where the pallet is, that sticks out about 4 feet from the back tire. So I'm like, oh, this will work. And then, you go to pull, well, the whole front end of the bike just wants to fucking wheelie
machine.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, what can I do? So what I ended up doing is I just chalked the tires up on both sides, just wedged them in there. So when I'm pulling, the bike isn't moving.
Mm.
And I have like a U-bolt deal with some weights for the front of it just to hold it down.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Doesn't Cotton Factory or
Cotton Fabrique?
Yeah. Don't they? So how do they do it? Is because they have a bike printing or bike printer also, or they used to anyway. That's how they met.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it the same thing though?
Pretty much, I think. I've seen it before, but like you can't buy those. Like someone has to make that. Like you had to make yours, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I built it.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those things that I don't know. Maybe
there's
it's
still
like
some stuff I want to, yeah.
What do you want to do to it?
I need to, after the last event, I never had a trailer for it. So I was I'd have to call a buddy and say, hey, can you help me get this in the back of my pickup truck?
Yeah.
And we'd come there. Well, he lifted the box instead of the tire, and the box was like getting all fucked up in the frame. He's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I think I had to screw it back down together. I just need to reconfigure that whole thing.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it's going to get to where I need to get to safely.
I wish I had that's one of the things I should start telling people that are younger shops that we talk to is I wish I took way more photos of stuff, like our progression. You know what I mean? Anytime you start something new or move or buy a new piece of equipment, you should take photos of around that
Mm-hmm.
area and progressively take photos. Because I have no photos of our first shop, but live printing wise, I was the same way. We got into it a long time ago, and we were just figuring shit out on our own. Nobody was sharing information about live printing or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just figuring out how to get stuff to an event. When we were first doing it, we were using a flat trailer, like a 5x8 flat trailer, and it had our Riley 4.4 on it. So we'd have to pick up a whole press, put it on the trailer, take the dryer, take all this stuff, and we just had it ratchet strapped to a trailer, an open trailer. That was such a bad idea.
Especially with rains or you got
anything shits in the back of a trailer. You're taking a whole press. You're not taking a tabletop press. You're taking a whole heavy press. It was super annoying to carry around. And then eventually we got we made our own cart on wheels and casters, and I made it myself and like put screens in it. And then the bottom drawer had like ball bearings and came out, and I had all the inks, everything in this one containable pickup, like kind of like a band road case basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then that got more compact over the years. And then now it's just like we have everything in like a 4x8 enclosed trailer. And then we have two of those. So if a weekend where we have two events, we have one crew go one way and one crew go another way. It's like, I wish I had like pictures of like how we figured that shit out. And like,
have you had anybody contact you about live events?
we haven't had anything since COVID started. And we're actually like revamping our website right now. And I'm going to have like a whole section on live printing. So like I can push it more. But yeah, we haven't done any events since whatever, last March.
You can though now, right? Like in your
We
county or
could.
wherever
It's
you're
still
at. I mean,
weird. Like New York is still very like you feel, even though they say like if you're vaccinated, you can go in places without masks. I feel like a lot of people are still like, they just don't want to like hurt people's feelings or feel weird, because a lot of people are like, are you vaccinated? So I don't know. I feel like it's still iffy, but I do see people starting the live print again. So it gives me hope to be like, hopefully we can start doing this. But I mean, it was just super fun. Like we love doing it.
What's your worst experience live printing?
Our worst was 13 shirts sold. And it was at what was it? What's it called? What's it called? What's the
I
thing?
think you have
when
a
go to,
wasp on your chair.
He's my buddy.
Yeah. That's your pet wasp?
Yeah, it's my pet wasp. Waspy.
Okay. Well,
I don't know where he went. He probably went in the collar of my shirt. Cool, thanks. But is it homecoming? It's not homecoming. Well, anyway, we went to a college event, and it was like when everybody first gets there, and we were projected to like sell a ton of shirts. Like they were like, oh yeah, you're going to do really good. It's like an all day event. These college kids are going to buy shirts. So anyway, there's like us over here in like kind of like in a parking lot, fully set up, ready to go. And then on the other end of like this big campus lot thing was like this DJ. And the DJ was like kind of listing off who was there for the day. And he was like, yeah, Upstate Merch is over there giving away free shirts all day.
Oh, man.
And all the kids like swarmed over us and they were like, oh, I want my free shirt. And we were like, no, they're like $20. And like every kid was like, well, fuck you then. So literally like every kid was like, well, he told me they were free and you just told me they were $15. So I'm not fucking buying anything. So like they just got super turned off to buy anything all day long because this DJ told them they were free. So like, it was just like that psychological thing of like, oh, well, I thought it was free. Like I would have bought it, but I mean, now that it's not free, I'm not going to buy it.
As far as your
worst one,
as far as your pricing and stuff goes, I don't know what you do. What I normally do is I'll have whoever's putting the event on buy the shirts for me at the cost as like, let's say they want 100 shirts.
We do it like three different ways.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have them pay for the 100 shirts as if I'm printing them here. And then I'll just have a flat fee per hour for me to be at the event.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of ways you can do it. Like I know, like a buddy of ours, Max, who does Family Industries. That's like their huge thing is live printing. And I know he does it like a totally different way. And there's some people that are just like, I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with the money. I just want to like go print. And a lot of times they're doing it as like branded as that company. They're not branded as their company. You know, we do it a different way. We're in more of a rural area. We do a lot of like beer fests. We do a lot of party things. We do a lot of, a lot of it seems to be beer related, but, we just go and we set up and we sell. So we'll go to that event and we'll be the only vendor most of the time. So it's not like if you go to an event and it's like a vendor fest or like some kind of fest where there's like 50 vendors, you're not going to sell any. Like you're going to sell a low amount. But if you go to an event that's like this big music festival and you're the only merch sold there, like not food, but like actual merchandise of anything, you'll sell a shitload. So like we try to only do those kind of events. So we'll do like 4 one-color designs, but we'll also have everything with like the date on it and like very limited edition. Like we're not going to do these again. And then people will come up. We sell a shirt for $20. And then at the end of the event, we just give the person who threw the event like a cut if it's like $3 a shirt or whatever. So we're making like $17 a shirt and we're using, like a $3 tee.
Yeah.
So
I guess with me, it's
sell like 400 shirts.
Since I am the only person there and I need to be printing, the person that puts the event on, I say, this is how much it's going to cost for me to be there, including the shirts. And then when people come up to me, I say, just pay them,
Right.
They tell me the retail price they're going to sell them at. I post it. So that way I'm not stopping what I'm doing and swiping cards or shuffling through change while people are looking at getting stuff done.
You have
the last one
I was going to ask if you had a sign up for your company.
Yeah.
Like, is it a marketing thing too? And have you gotten business out of it?
Yeah. Yep. I've got something on the side of the box that the press is on. And then I also have, like a marquee sign that states who I am, but then it has the other company's name underneath and how much they're selling the shirts for.
Right.
With business cards and stickers they hand out with my business as well. But
so that's why I said like ours ours is a lot of marketing. Like it's, you go to an event and there's 4,000 people there or whatever, where our tent is an upstate merch tent. It does say like official event merchandise or whatever on it. But like everyone who comes up, we do it in like a 3 or 4 man team. So like usually if I go, I'm standing at the front desk, like I'll deal with all the people that come in. And in the beginning, again, it's one of those things like you live and you learn. We used to just like write down the person's name on like a list for whose shirt it was. And then Chris would have to be like, oh, shirt for Cheryl. And then like you would just have to wait for Cheryl to come by. Like that sucked. So what we ended up doing was we made like a business card. And so when someone comes to the front desk or front, thing, and they're talking to me or whatever, I'm like, oh, fill one of these out. So they fill out a card that has like name, phone number, shirt size, and shirt design or whatever. So I just take that card and I hand it to the guy printing. He prints that one. It goes through the dryer. Chris grabs it, puts it in a bag, puts the card on it, and then there's like a table next to him that's just full of bags. So when that person comes back, they can just grab the shirt off the table and go. And people always ask like, oh, do people steal stuff? It's super rare that somebody like just takes a random bag. And even if they do, like one every like couple months, someone steals one, we'll just print another shirt. Like it's not worth the thing. So it's so much faster. We can like crank shirts out. So I do it where it's like, it's just a side hustle on weekends for the people that work here. Like we just take the money at the end of the event and split it between the 3 of us.
Yeah. Yeah. The last event I was at, there's a couple women that have their own brand retail store the next town over, and they set me up on the sidewalk, and they appeal to a certain demographic of people. Yoga pants, blonde hair, big glasses. And these 2 girls are like, I'll take a small and a medium. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I print them. Another couple girls come out. They say, they said, are you done with my small and medium? I'm like, yeah, hold on. Yeah, it'll be done in a couple minutes. It was windy. So that flash, it took so long for it to cure. But then in the meantime, there was another couple girls that wanted a small and medium. I handed the shirts to the wrong 2 girls because I'm like, I'm sorry. They all look the same. I need to start. I had a piece of paper down. They weren't writing names down because I'm just, in the zone. That's why we started doing the cards.
So the cards were a game changer. Like it made things so much easier because they fill the cards out. It's not like you're filling it out and you're not like Matt, Shannon, Alex, whatever. They're filling it out. So like,
that's
they
a good
can
idea.
see it's their card with their name on it and their handwriting, whatever. And it stays with the shirt the whole time. Like we got the cards. I think they're just regular business cards. They don't have gloss on them. But like when we print the shirt, when he prints the shirt, he sticks it to the shirt as it goes through the dryer. So like when that shirt comes out the end of the dryer, it's got the card on it, like near the collar. So like it stays with the shirt the whole time. So you don't mix anything up.
And I guess that'll come as I grow, where I can have more people there, more people talk, where I can have somebody
you can do it with 2 people.
I could be talking. Yeah. Yep. It's just getting to that point to where
again, circling back,
hiring,
just least one. You need one more of you.
Do you or any of your daughters like have any interest in either screen printing or possibly like working, for you in that role? Like
that'd be the best thing if you could do that.
Like it would be a great experience for one of your daughters and also for you and you as like as the dad, just a learning experience. You know what I mean?
So that's my oldest daughter right now works at a coffee shop and is a banquet server. So this is manufacturing pretty much. You can try to make it seem cool, but it's a manufacturing job. You're pumping stuff out. And with them, they kind of have their own interest. I've had them here a few times printing stuff and stacking stuff. And,
specifically, I was talking
they're just not into it, but I'm hoping I can get one of them up here to where I can have them doing the quotes, doing the
nice
meeting with customers.
Like the family flexibility of it. It's not like if you hire some random girl off the street, you're like kind of in the back of your mind stressing out about like, do I have enough things for them to do? Do I have enough hours for them to work, or can I afford to pay them? If it's your daughter, it's like, hey, like I don't need you today. You can go home. Or like,
Here's what I would
Yeah,
do.
my
Trying to have flexibility.
Here's
my
what I
middle
do.
daughter, I told her, she's like, well, how much do you pay? And then my wife's like, oh, he's paying Thomas $16 an hour right now. I'm like, don't tell her that. What do you do?
Right.
It'll be a growing thing. And I don't know what you guys use for software, if it's Printavo, if you're using Monday, right, Andy?
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yeah, Monday.
So I've been dabbling in the print life that Cam put out, the Monument Limited stuff. And I like it. It's just, it's convenient to where anybody can come up here, sit with a customer, type in quantities, type in the shirt that they want, and it'll get a price based on whatever pricing matrix I put in there.
Right.
So that's what I like about it being a one-man shop, but I need to get better at this stuff up here and back there to get somebody in here to where they're like, so what do I do? You know,
I get it. And
yeah,
we talked about that before. Like if I bring anything into the shop, say it's live printing or fulfillment or whatever, I'm the one who tries to figure it out first. Like I want to master it and know the ins and outs so that if I hire somebody for that position and they have a question, I have an answer. Like I want to be able to be like, yeah, this is how you do this thing. Just run this. I can't run this all day. I have other things I have to do. So like I figured it out, you run it. And then the cool part is a lot of times they figure out shit you never figured out, or they figure out how to make things more efficient because they're doing it all day long. And then you're like, oh, cool. And they just evolve it or whatever. But yeah, I agree with you. Like you're still trying to figure it out. You don't want to hire somebody and be like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, for the longest time, you know, it was piece of paper, looking at my price sheet, figuring out what everything's going to cost, you know, and now trying to instill a software to where I can just punch stuff in based on my pricing matrix, my markup. And if it just, it'll shoot out a price based on locations, print colors, you know, if it's, I don't want to say dumbed down, but if it's all in there to where anybody can do it, I feel a lot more comfortable as the owner to get somebody in this situation to be able to do that.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Are you dealing with a lot of like, is your main thing local business?
Yeah.
Or is it a little of both?
It's pretty much all local. I don't ship anything out. They come pick stuff up. The schools in town, the wrestling coach at the high school also has a print shop, and that's like half a mile down the road. So for the longest time, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to get really involved with the schools because they want things as cheap as they can. And, you know, the purchase order, you know, it might take 30 days, 45 days to get paid. And just starting out, my line of credit, it's like, here's a credit card, you know, here's $10,000. Well, that adds up pretty quick when you're buying shirts and stuff like that. And not getting a deposit down or anything. So
it's hard to front that sometimes.
So lately, a lot of the school stuff has been coming my way because he's getting older and he does his own thing. And I tried to reach out to him to work together and say, hey, if there's stuff I can't handle, can I send it your way? But I never really got any response from him. So just trying to network locally with other businesses, you know.
How did the COVID thing affect you?
I printed a lot of bags because I had that contract last year. I think last year was 40,000, but it didn't really affect me too bad because all the schools were in session. You know, they all still had sports. And businesses still kind of ran how they were where I'm at. You know, limited capacity stuff hurt a little bit, but it didn't really affect me too bad because last year was my first full year in business. And then, you know, March happened. And it's like,
the nice thing is that coming into like hard times and still figuring it out and getting your business going and still growing. If you can do it in that time, you can easily do it when shit's good.
Right.
And it's really good right now. It's really good.
That was my concern is like, oh shit, you know, my rent here is pretty cheap. and all the equipment's paid for. So my overhead is not a whole lot right now. And that's where, it's like, well, I can manage during COVID. I'm a one-man operation. I can still make money. But now that things are getting better, like I said before, I want to get a 10 or 12 color automatic. I want to instill and look, I want to look into the future as far as growth wise, and how can I get there without subbing things out? Like Andy said, that's a pain in the ass. It's, you're waiting on stuff. Even my embroidery, I used to sub that stuff out, but I bought a single head embroidery machine to do stuff here on my own. And
well, you give up control, like you give up control of quality, you give up control of reliability and scheduling, and you're, all of a sudden you're waiting on that person. And then sometimes you get the shirts back and they're not the print quality that, they're shitty. I mean, you've got to really trust, you got to find a printer that you're going to outsource to that is equal to your stuff, and so, and equal to your stuff always, and so I don't know, that seems like a challenge. And so I don't think we've never taken on a job and then jobbed it out. I've referred people some, it's like if I couldn't do a job for whatever reason, I've referred them somewhere else, but I've never accepted the job and then jobbed it out. You know what I mean? I've just never done that because I didn't want to give up.
I've never subbed out a job either, a print job.
I would just refer it. And then you're not making any money from it. And that sucks. I'm not saying that it can't be done. Of course it does. I think there's a lot of shops that accept orders and then send them, to a printer that they trust. Well, I don't know.
It's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that, that I would do that anyway, just sub things out. But the couple times that I did, it's just like, man, when are they coming? When is it,
Yeah.
I guess my time frame isn't consistent with other people's time frames. I try to say 10 to 15 business days once shirts are ordered and mock-ups are approved. That just gives me a little bit of time to schedule jobs out. But, I don't want to be that guy that's, hey, are you done with my shit yet? Because I just got a phone call from the school, and school's going to be out of session in like a week, and they want their whatever, the other guys and the other printers in town, it's a lot of heat transfer stuff, and I don't want to. I try to stay away from the heat transfer vinyl as much as possible.
I agree.
Since I'm not trying to rub this in or anything, but since we've been talking, I'm notified in my upper right corner when I get an email, and I've gotten I've gotten 3 job applicants since we've started.
I know how you said you prefaced that with, I don't want to rub it in. But the entire time you told me that, you had a big smirk on your face.
Maybe
I'm just happy because I need them so bad. Like we need help so bad. And to know that, I'm not saying that these people are going to work out or who knows, you know what I mean? But it's just great to know that there's options, and there may be options anyway.
Oh, I bet that feels real
maybe
good.
it's that girl from Target from a few episodes ago where you she saw the episode.
It happened again today when I ran to Walmart because Dylan told me to get the wrong camera. He told me to get the one with the C USB whatever it's called,
the
plug.
USB-B.
Yeah, and so I ran to Walmart, and the dude that helped me was excellent. Like he was calm. I thought he was going to be an asshole because I was like, I need this part. I was trying to explain to him. He was really calm. He knew what he was talking about. He walked me over and showed me the thing. And he said, we don't have it. You're like, what you need is a specialty part. And you got to go online to get it. And I said, are you sure? And I was ready when I said, are you sure, for him to say, fuck off. What do you mean? I just told you. But he said, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sorry. And then I asked him about a port that maybe would work, instead of just an adapter. And he's like, nah, we just don't have it here. And then I said, well, I'm just going to buy another camera. Like the right camera. And I asked him about which one would be best. And
I love how you said the right camera.
And then he helped me, and I was thinking to myself, man, this dude, he would be perfect here. And he's working at Walmart, and so I don't know how to say it though. And so I did get his name, and maybe I'll hit him up. Maybe I'll go over there on Monday.
I'm telling you, you got to
Did
do
he-
the Craigslist misconnections.
Did he tell you his name, or did you just remember it from the name tag?
I remembered it from the name tag, and I better remember it still.
Nope.
It's kind of gone.
Just go back to Walmart tonight and be like, "Hey,
No, I got it. Because it was like I reminded. I just got another one. Here's another.
I hate
So
you.
that's 4 job applications. But his first name or last name is Heath, and I remember Heath Ledger. So there you go. Got
He
it.
was Heath Ledger. He faked his death, and now he works at Walmart, and he helps you out.
Yeah, that's a smart move, actually. A lot of, I mean, stardom's. Who wants that? I have a question. It's a really important one. You have any dad jokes for us?
oh man, oh."
He was the one. I've retold your joke no less than 10 times. The one about, have you heard about the new restaurant on the moon?
Yeah. Did I message you one about the price of a chimney? Did I mess?
But it's
I
on
don't
the
know if I
house.
said- Yeah, it's on the house.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh
Gotcha.
man, what's another one? I don't know. I'd have to sit down in my joke book.
My dad has
I
a
got-
bunch of my dad actually has a bunch of them. Most of his are super dirty though.
I'm trying to keep it somewhat PG.
Right.
You know.
I mean, I appreciate them all. So if you want to DM me the dirty ones, I would love that. We had one. I brought Brian here loves dad jokes, and I ended up buying him for his birthday like a dad joke book. And there was one that, like, I'm horrible at remembering anything, but like one of the ones in there that I loved was that, like, I'm gonna butcher this, but like if somebody walks up to you and they're like, "I'm cold" or whatever, you just tell them to go stand in the corner because it's 90 degrees. And I was like, "Oh, I love that one." Like, "Oh, you should go stand in the corner," and when they go, "Why?" you say, "Oh, because it's 90 degrees." I can't remember like any other like good ones though. Like the chimney on the house one, I remember.
I have a question, Dylan. He won the best comment with that joke, and the winner was supposed to get a T-shirt. Did you get a T-shirt, Nate?
I did. Yeah, I did.
See?
I got it.
Right here,
Yeah.
Andy.
Okay. I thought I had you.
No, I got it.
See?
All right, cool.
I'm on it.
I got a couple questions for you guys too.
Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
do that.
So a lot of times what happens for me, my minimum or most of my orders are like 50, 60 shirts. When a customer comes in to pick them up, they go, "Oh, could I get 2 more whatever?" You know, and then I'm like, "Well, your 4-color design, your screens are off the you know, like what do you do in that situation typically?"
That's a good question.
It is a good question. Let's both answer it. What do you do, Dylan?
Oh God. Well, I actually just had that happen. Like Sarah won't be here tomorrow, and I was here earlier, and she showed up, and she was going to do her emails so that she didn't, get buried. And she's like, "Oh, I got a question for you before you go outside." And it was a school had ordered like graduation T-shirts or whatever, like year 2021 graduate kind of stuff. And the lady, we did a great job on the whole shirt order. Nothing was wrong. She was like, "Oh, there's a student I forgot about. Can we get one more tee?" And it was a 1 color front, 1 color back. So it wasn't that big a deal. Like I could have done something or made it work. But the back was, instead of signatures, it was a big B, but we made the B and like typed out all the students' names to like make the B. And she was like, "Oh, and like add that kid's name to the back." And I'm just like, dude, there's no way. Like, and because the names are like alphabetical order, so I would have to shuffle like every name after that person. I told her, I was like, see if she wants to order like 12, so it would be like enough for a whole order, because it wasn't like our fault. She just needs like 1 or 2 more. So that was my answer. And I said, if she doesn't, I'll try to reach out to somebody who maybe could DTG it for me, because I don't want to tell this lady no. Like I don't want to turn her down because it's a good customer. But like, I definitely don't want to set up 2 more screens and redo the back and everything for that. Generally I try to ask them if it's our fault, I'll print that one shirt. Like, it's on us. It's our problem. But if it's not, and they just want to order 1 or 2, I try to stick to my guns and say our minimum's like 12. That's my answer. I know Andy's going to be like, I do it because it's my marketing budget and I'm great to everybody. So you don't even have to speak, Andy. I got it for you. No worries.
Thanks, Dylan. You got me. All right. Next question.
Is that right?
That's 100% right. I know he'd say I'd do it. I'd take care of it.
That's where I'm at. I generally say, okay, I can. But what happens is I order those 2 shirts or whatever it is, 2 hoodies, and then they sit in the back because I'm printing other jobs. And then they're like, hey, are those 2 shirts done yet? It's like, fuck, I got to spend, 4 hours on those 2 shirts. And do you charge them for the 2 shirts, or do you charge them at the same price as you charge the rest of the shirts? You know what I mean? Because now you're resetting up. You're making new screens. I don't know if you guys keep screens laying around at all. I keep them around for a week.
Nope.
And then after that week,
we reclaim every day, so they're gone.
Yeah.
We do not reclaim. Well, we reclaim almost every day, but we don't reclaim recent, like the orders that we printed that day or the day before. You know what I mean? And so we do have screens around for almost a week. I would say that the answer is there's different answers to that. So if somebody comes in to pick up and they're like, oh, I needed 2 more, or if they call after they've picked up and they need 2 more, and we have the screens, then the answer is most of the time we're just resetting up and printing their shirts. And it's just the same price. And I know that can be pretty cheap. Like if they got 100 shirts, 150 shirts, we're not charging a lot. And I explain that it's like this. It's, we sometimes say that normally it would cost. I don't want them to think that, oh, I can do this every time. Like every time I order, I can just get another shirt or 2. And so we let them know like the whole situation, and then we just take care of it. If we don't have the screens, then the answer is different. Then we start with the reset. On every quote we send out, it has on there what resets cost. And so that doesn't mean that they read that or they're aware of it, or even if they do read it, they don't sometimes even know what it means. But we start with the reset cost and what that's going to cost. And then sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, well, you didn't tell me that, or I didn't see that, and that sucks.
Go back to the reset thing. What's your reset? You have like a whole reset terms thing?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And you mean in our quote when we send out the quote?
Yeah. What does it say?
I have to go get it, but I think it says something like, consider reorders because there are reset fees, and here they are, and they're $20. So it's $20 per color. And so there's a little signature. We have a quote signature, and it's in that. But a lot of times we don't even charge it. And here's why: because somebody will come pick up and they're a good customer, a regular customer. And this just happened a couple of weeks ago. Somebody came in and they brought in 2 shirts of their own, like tank tops. So the rest were t-shirts, and they're like, hey, I got these 2 tanks. Can you stick the design on here for me? And I heard it going on at the front counter, and she was like, oh, well, then, we have to reset it up and da-da-da. And she was like, oh, and she's kind of bummed out.
Oh, she put the waterworks on for you.
Yep. But we just took care of it. Because, like you said, it's marketing for us, because taking care of that situation right there is a reason why you come back here instead of saying no. And that one wasn't like an 8-color job that was going to take us a long time. And this is coming from a shop though that we have tri-sync, and so you said earlier that it takes you hours to reset back up a job. Well, that's not true for us. Or for anybody that has a tri-sync. That mean, if maybe it's 10 minutes, you know what I mean? 15 minutes max. And so I think it's worth it. I think it's 100% worth it. We'll set that job back up, especially if we have screens. We'll set that job back up and print it. No doubt about it. 100%.
I had a real good customer and a buddy of mine that we do a lot of stuff for, and we had just done like a 12 color print for them. It was like 12 color front, 1 color back, or whatever it was. And he hit me up and was like, hey, I need one more 3X or 4X or whatever it was. And I was just like, dude, there's no, like, I'm not setting that back up. Like, I want to help you out, but like, I'm not setting out 12 screens for one shirt. So I hit up our buddy Tyler at TC because we were just talking about his DTG or whatever. And he's going to make me that one shirt so that my customer can have it. Because it's not like it's going to go in with all the other ones. It was for somebody ordered it online or whatever. So, I mean, it sucks to have one DTG shirt, but I'm covering it. I'm paying for it. I didn't have it in me to set up that big of a job for one shirt.
Well, and I guess you're looking at time, the cost for your time.
Yeah.
You know, and that's with me, I'm registering from my films, and
right.
You know, if it's a 4 color front, 4 color back, I typically do it, but it's like,
my thing is, like Andy said, like if I had the screen still sitting there, again, we can throw it on press and everything's tri-locked, so we can click, put it back in. Yeah, we'd have to pull the inks off the shelf and put it all back in and print it. But my thing is, the screens were reclaimed. Like, I would have to burn 12 more screens. You know, I would have to tape 12 more screens. I'd have to put them back on press and do the whole thing again. I was just like, it's not worth it for one T. So, I mean, I did make it right with them. Like, I helped them out for sure, but like setting up one T, I try anything else other than setting that back up before going that route. I don't know what happened to Andy. Apparently he had diarrhea again.
I'm trying to pull up that quote real quick. Give me 1 sec, right?
He can hear us. Hit us with the next one.
Can koozies. Do you print a lot of them?
None of them.
None of them.
Mm-mm.
So I usually have people come in that want 100 can koozies. And, you know, let's say you're printing a 1 color left chest.
Mm-hmm.
That print should be the same whether you're printing a left chest and a can koozie, right? I mean,
size wise?
I'm saying price wise.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of people with can koozies. They're like, well, I'm not paying for that, you know.
Right.
They want them for $2 a piece. I just didn't know if you guys printed them that often or if you ever dealt with people that.
The reason why I don't print them, and we could print them, like we could easily print them. The reason why I don't is exactly what you just said. Like, I can order them online from like a third party thing. Like, I don't do it. I just tell the customer, go here. Like, if it's discountmugs.com or whatever it is, like, you can get a koozie with like a front and back print or front and back and bottom for almost the same price it cost me to like buy the koozie blank.
Right.
Or a little bit more from the distributor. I was like, it's not my bread and butter. It's not what people come here for. If it's a customer who just wants like, hey, I have an event and I want to give away some koozies, I'm just like, hey, just go to, like, I'm not worried they're going to take all their business to this discount place. But like, if you need koozies, just go here. Like, it's not worth us doing. Like, we've printed one koozie job in our existence. And it was like for a friend. But like, normally I'll just be like, yeah, just go to this website and like order them.
Typically, well, even with me because this business was in the same location for so long, a lot of the past customers would come here and be like, oh, this isn't Scott's screen printing anymore. I'm like, no, I'm blah, blah, blah. I took over. Well, their first question is, do you have my artwork? Which I don't. I had the option to buy all the files, but you know, that was kind of a risk for me to do that because I'd still have to market myself to that customer. And then the next question is, oh, well, do you do this? Like, do you make flags? No, I don't make flags. And like, well, Scott made flags. You bought all of his equipment. And I'm like, well,
Scott didn't make those flags.
Scott didn't make flags, but you know, so that's kind of where I'm at.
I just am honest with the customer and I'm like, hey, we do tons of screen printing. Like if you want apparel printed, like whatever, like anything other than that, anything like promo products and stuff like that, I just tell them straight up. I'm like, 99% of the shops you go to are not making that shit there. Like they're subbing it out just like I would. Like, and I tell them that straight up because I want them to know whatever quality they get or whatever they're getting, like I'll order it and I have like reputable places I can order these from that like will do a good job, but it's not me making it. Like I'm just more in that thought of, and I learned that from doing this show, like just saying this was, you know, you're a customer service company that does screen printing. So for me, it's a good customer that like I can do the screen printing, but the customer service part is me like getting them to go in the right direction or helping them solve their issue or get their product. So I'm just like, yeah, I'll print your 500 tees, but your, you know, 200 mugs you want done, they're going to be from this place. Like I'll order them, I'll do the whole thing, but just so you know, I'm ordering them from a third party. Yeah.
I just did that with those little rubber silicone.
Right. Like nobody's making those.
I said no, but you know, this is the company that I use. I'll send you a mock-up of what you want and I'll order them for you.
Right.
Because, you know, they all want that one-stop shop, you know?
Yeah.
But
and that was my problem. You can totally do that for them. Like you can help them with that whole project. I just don't want them to think that I have a banner factory back behind my screen printing shop and like I'm printing pens and golf balls. It's like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to be honest and be like, hey, you want to come out and see how we make shit? Like I'll walk you around the shop and show you everything. But like,
that's what I do too. I'm like
golf balls.
And sometimes that helps, at least in my experience, that at least helps the customer realize like, holy shit, there is a lot more to it than just hitting a button on a printer.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
As far as DTG stuff, you don't do DTG at all, do you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't even love the quality of it, but like I said, if somebody comes in here, if some lady comes in here and says, hey, it's my son's birthday this weekend and I want to do a picture of like him when he was little, like he's 16, but I want to do a picture of him when he was 4, like on the tee, I'll be like, hey, this is perfect for DTG. Like this is digital all the way. You want it for a one-time thing. You don't care how long it lasts. It's just a novelty thing. Yeah, go. I know a buddy who will do a great job and knock this out for you. But I don't have any plans to do anything digital. It just depends. Like I said, did you find a way to help that customer out is really what it boils down to. It doesn't matter.
Right. And that's kind of where I'm at too, to where it's like, no, I don't do that here. I can even design stuff. There's been a lot of people that, you know, I'm looking for a designer for stuff because, you know, they'll send me a screenshot of something on Pinterest. And they're like, here's my artwork. And one of these days I'm just going to like DTG that on a shirt and be like, here you go.
We've always thought we've always wanted to do that,
you know, and there was somebody for like a summer camp. They sent me artwork. They're like, well, I need this changed and this changed. And I don't really care about the fonts, but I'm really particular with fonts. And I'm like, oh shit, I kind of like the font that's there, you know? So you play this back and forth game and then they don't really know what they want really. And then I just wasted 3 hours trying to design something that they don't want. And so I'm just trying to send all my design stuff to somebody else. But as long as I can help them contact somebody to do that work for them and they send me print ready artwork, that's all I want.
Right.
You know, send me print ready artwork. And
that's the school of thought that I have. And me and Andy kind of have different ways of doing this. I have like freelancers like all over the world. Like I have like my top 10 that I use. And most of the time the customer doesn't have to know they exist. It's just if we get a customer who's like, oh, I want a skull on like a hand-drawn skull on fire. I immediately know what guy I'm sending it to. So I'll just take that descriptive email of what they want. I'll email it to that guy and he tells me, okay, this is how much it's going to be for me to make this. If it was $200 or whatever, we tell the customer, okay, you know, we can do that design. It's going to be like $225. And they're like, okay, cool. And then we get it to that guy. He gets it back to us in a couple days. Customer loves it. They're like, holy shit, this is totally custom, like made design. They pay the $225. I pay him his $200. We get $25. It's just like an upcharge. And then we print the art, and it's rad, cool art.
How long did it take you to find somebody that could do that turnaround, or 2 or 3 days?
The biggest thing with a lot of these designers is like you can go on Instagram and find like any cool designer, like anybody who does anything. Most of the time when you contact them, you're like, hey, I have a customer who would really like to work with you. They're like, okay, cool. Like they don't give a shit. They're just like, okay, cool. I don't know you. They get hit up all the time of people being like, oh, do a design for me. I'll give you exposure. And they're just like, that's such horseshit.
You know what would be perfect for you, Nate, is Graphic Source. I think that would be, so like you pay a monthly fee and they take care of everything, you know? And so it's sort of like
too.
that.
Oh,
yeah,
they do.
Too.
They do the whole project, like done.
I'll email you, I'll email you a contact, and you should definitely go check it out anyway.
They're basically a for-hire art department.
Yeah, I just got another job app, by the way.
Cool. Thanks.
But here, so let me. I'll email you. I'll write it down right now. Email you this contact, and they have like, I want to say it's like 50. They have a couple locations, and they have like 50 designers full time, and you get assigned like your own, and so it's going to be the same person almost every time, and they send you the design back, a proof, and if it's approved, then they also send you, just like Dylan said, the files. Yeah, the SEPs ready to go.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, but the less time I spend up here, I feel a lot better. You know,
well,
I just
getting
feel like I'm wasting.
getting SEPs is huge. Like if you get artwork, you're like cool, but like someone who knows screen printing SEPs, not just like, oh, hey, I separated these colors. Like, you know, a lot of designers are like, oh, I separated these and blacked them out. I'm like, cool. Well, that doesn't really help me. I still have to half tone it. I still have to put traps on it, whatever else. Like they're giving you SEPs, like ready to go SEPs. So yeah, Ron, our buddy Ron from Talk Shirty showed me that a little while ago. He was like, yeah, I had this design some customer gave me in crayon. It was like like napkin crayon drawing. They were like, oh, I want this design. And Ron like took a picture with his phone, sent it to, he has that monthly service, and he called, you know, sent it to them. They came back with like a, you know, vector ready, great artwork of it.
So I have that. I use somebody for that because, like I said, a lot of customers were Scots, and they're like, I don't have my artwork. And I'm like, all right, just, do you have a shirt? Do you have anything that has your logo on it? I've got somebody where I can take a picture and send it to, and they'll send me a vector file of it, but then I still have to sit down and separate it.
Right.
And that just takes time.
Kind of like an all-in-one thing.
Yeah,
man,
for sure.
Would save you so much time. It's almost be like having a, you know, a designer there in your shop. And so for those who are listening, it's graphxsource.com. And my contact is Nick Wood. I don't know, Dylan, you probably know him too.
I know Nick Wood. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll get you his email though. And I think that would be like
that saved me about 4 hours a day, you know, with the amount of jobs that come in here, being a smaller shop, you know, somebody's got to sit down and separate every one, you know, and it's me until I can find somebody that can do that for me. And, you know, when I first started, it was my wife. She'd sit at home and on her days off and separate some stuff. But
thing is that's a skill in its own. You know what I mean? You can't just get like random people to do that for you. You kind of, you get people that like learn the ways and what works and docking and halftones and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff. So it's kind of nice getting somebody that just does that all day long and knows that thing.
I think their turnaround is pretty fast too. So
this is not an ad for them either.
No, we should have.
We should have them on.
Yeah, we should. People were asking about designers just recently. That was like one of the questions, and so I know that. Yeah, you're right. We should have them on. That'd be a good one.
We'll just have Nick on.
Questions for us?
Yeah, let's see here. What percentage misprints? 46% misprints. Here's 50. Here's 54 shirts.
Right, exactly.
I fucked up. So as far as, let's say, terms wise, what percent of misprints do you guys have in there? Or do you try to hurry up and order this stuff and get it here the next day, which really isn't logical because you have other jobs to run, just to avoid different setups.
Oh, cool.
If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
This is a great question. And I think Dylan and I should both answer it. Dylan, you want to go first?
Do you want me to answer for you? Because I know what the answer is.
Yeah. So you answer yours and then answer it for me too. Because you know the answer to that.
Okay. On our term sheet, I think it says like 2 to 3% is like the industry standard for like misprint allowance. Like if you get a customer and you print 100 shirts and you say, I fucked up 2% or whatever, they're going to be pissed. Like they're not going to be like, oh, well, I saw in your terms and that's okay. Like I paid for 100, but I only got, like 98 shirts or whatever. So generally what we try to do is we have some stock. So if it's a black tee, I'll try to find something that was either the exact same shirt or something. Like if it was a Bella 3001, all we have is next level 3600.
Right.
I'll grab one, put it in the order. If it's something we fucked up and we accidentally messed up like 10 on press, generally what we'll do is we'll just reset the job up, print the other 10 tomorrow. Cause I don't have a ton of stock of everything. Andy's answer to this question is going to be, I will fix it no matter what, because it's in my marketing budget and I want the customer to cry in tears of joy.
That's half
but
true.
He does have a room full of stock of like one of each color of Bella, and he'll pull from it if something gets messed up. Was I right?
That's pretty close.
Yeah,
Man.
see,
You did
knew it.
You did a good job. But I would add this. So yes, we're going to fix it because I always refer to the restaurant metaphor of if I order 10 pizzas and I go to pick up my 10 pizzas and they're like, oh, dude, sorry. Like we botched one. We have 9 here for you though. I would be like, well, but I ordered 10. Like I need 10 fucking pizzas. And you're telling me, yeah, I know, but like we were one that just kind of got messed up. That sucks. And so if somebody orders shirts here and they ordered 50 shirts or 56 shirts or 100 shirts and I tell them they're missing 3, I don't like that. I think that's bad business. And so I'm going to give them their order full. However, the only time that we don't is if it's like due that day, let's say, because we try to print
or we'll credit them
buffer
on the future order.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We try to print with the buffer day so that we can fix it if we have to. But if it's just, let's say we're stacked up pretty bad and we happen to be printing on the day that it's due and it's a firm due or something, which isn't often, but it happens. And they have 100 shirts and it's like they ordered 10 medium, 10 large. You know what I mean? It's all even numbers and that it's not specific. Then we will say, so sorry this happened. A shirt had a hole in it or we misprinted a shirt.
That's what sucks the most is that.
Hold on. There's this important part. I have to finish this train of thought. If there's a shirt with a hole in it or we misprinted a shirt, we have 2 options. One, we can take it off your invoice and, or if you've already paid, we'll credit you or we'll refund you the 2 shirts or whatever it is. Or option 2 is we just don't have the shirt here because it's a weird shirt. It was a comfort color or whatever it was, and we don't have it here in stock. We will print you a different shirt that isn't an exact match and then order a fix for you and you'll have it on Monday or Tuesday. And we're so sorry it happened, but it happened. You know what I mean? And so that happens every once in a while, but it's not very often. But otherwise, we're always fixing it because I don't want to have somebody tell me that you ordered 10 pizzas and we only have 9. I think that's fucked up. That's my answer.
What I was trying to say when he said holes in it is I was like, that's what sucks the most is when you did everything right. You counted all the shirts in, you had everything, you had no misprints, but you have 1 or 2 shirts where there's like a stain or there's a hole in the armpit or the box came undone UPS and that top shirt has a huge line of just dirt on the front of it.
Are you guys
in that instance, in that situation, I print that shirt with the hole or I print that shirt with the stain. And let's say like hey, we have, 25 people who are all leaving on a plane to Wisconsin and we've got to have these shirts. Well, then I print it anyway. And the one person is going to have one with a hole in it, which sucks.
They're just going to have built-in air conditioning.
And I'll say, look, this happened. There's a hole in one of them, but this is, we printed it anyway, and you have it for your trip or something. And we've ordered a replacement, and we'll ship it to you, or you can come pick it up or whatever. It's ready on, the next day or whatever.
Little Timmy's going to have a big stain on the back of his shirt.
Yeah. It's better than having no shirt, right? Like having
trip.
At least having a shirt with that print on it, like your whole group or your whole team or whatever, at least you have that. And I know it sucks it has a stain, but at least you had one. I don't know.
That's I'm in the same boat as far as either replacing it or have you guys noticed a lot lately that's happening as far as like either through SNS or Sanmar that they're not catching stuff as frequently as they used to. Maybe it's an employment issue where
they just don't like you.
Well, I got a Gildan 8000 the other day and half the sleeve was hanging off. And I'm like, shit, those were due, that day as well. So I'm like searching around for something to replace it with here.
Pretty sure we had a Gildan hoodie a little while ago where the front pocket was sewn on the back. I haven't had anything. I haven't had anything really weird lately. I did have a printer buddy of mine email or send me a message about a ton of Next Level. It looks like they got sprayed with, like, you couldn't tell until you printed it, but he was discharge printing it. And like, after he did it, there was a ton of spots like through the whole print. And I was like, it just looks like, cause it's so consistent through the print. It just looks like the shirts were sprayed with something.
I had a shirt show up, white hoodie. It was dirty. This was just a couple weeks ago. It was dirty, and quality control went and tried to spray it out. Couldn't spray it out all the way. I said, I'll take care of it. I'll see what I can do. I went and I got some like bleach, and I put a little water in with it, and then I started to put it on that spot, and it turned fucking purple. Like, I don't know how this happened. I was like, oh no, I just made it like so much worse. And so then I put it under the sink and tried rinsing it out, like to get that purple out, and it sort of got out. And then I'm like, well, maybe if we like put this in the wash or whatever and dry. And this is for one of those that was like a firm do. They had to have it. And so Nick, who works here at Quality Control, lives the closest. And I'm like, all right, go home. I said, do you have fragrance-free or whatever is scent-free detergent? And he's like, no. I go, okay, here, gave him my card. Go to Walmart, buy some scent-free detergent, run this through your wash, and also dry it, see what happens. And he did it, and it looked absolutely perfect. He was gone for 3 hours, though. But he
just went to Walmart and bought a white hoodie and hung out at home and watched TV for 2 hours.
Well, we had already printed it, and so it was like done and ready to go. And he ran it through wash, and it looked perfect. And so we put it in there, and they had it. So I don't know. I mean, the things we do, right?
Have you guys ever? I've never. I think we tried it once, and it was so stupid. But like that thing where people always said, like, if you scorched a shirt, you could use peroxide to like get rid of this. Yeah. You ever tried that?
Yeah, it works. Really? We haven't scorched a shirt in a really long time, but they used to have this.
I feel like it's so shitty. It's so shitty because if it's scorched, it's burnt. Like if you pull on that, shirt, it'll rip right
apart,
there.
Yeah, fall apart.
Like right where it was scorched, it will rip right there.
That's too scorched.
Well, how do you slightly scorch a shirt?
I think that cotton scorches differently than like a blend, and so.
So if you put peroxide on it, it goes away?
I haven't done this in a very, very long time because we don't, now that we have, which is a huge recommend from me, is that have temp controls on your flashes. I mean, we're not going to scorch any shirts in our dryer.
Right.
You're talking about flashing, right? And so I have a temp control, like it's nearly impossible.
No, we do too. But I'm just saying that, like, if you scorch something, it used to be this thing where people would be like, yeah, if you scorched it, you could put peroxide on it. It would take the scorch mark away. I'm like,
and it's true.
It's fucking burnt.
There's a difference between scorch and burnt. Yeah.
Well, I get like the difference between on fire or like crumbling when you grab it, but it's still burnt. Like that's what a scorch mark is. It's fucking like the top layer of that cotton.
Nate, I'm sorry you have to listen to our arguing. Do you have another question for us?
Let's see here. 50% up front or 100% up front?
100%.
Andy, 50?
So we are 50% if it's local and 100% if we're shipping. So, however, we do, like you were mentioning earlier about the schools, we do the PO thing. And so we do have customers that issue POs, and we're okay with that. I know going into the order that that's how it's going to work, and I'm okay with not getting paid for 30 days or whatever it is. I'm fine with that.
We do that too, but it's like 98% of our orders are 100%. But there's like you said, if you have a big company that has to do a PO or terms or whatever, like we'll do it. But like most,
it doesn't
like
bother
general, yeah, it doesn't really bother me. I'm just saying generally our thing is 100%. Like we're not like, we won't turn a customer down if they're like, I can't do 100%. We're like, all right, we'll do 50 now and 50 before it ships. But
I want to make it easy for the customer. And if you've got a situation where you have to have 2 signatures on a check or whatever,
yeah, that's
you turn this into somebody that's fine with me. So
yeah.
I get it. I know that I could probably push and say, look, I need a credit card or I need payment up front, and they could probably make it happen, because they want to get the shirts or they want to use us or something, but then it's inconvenient. Then I'm hassling
My
them.
thing is, it's not a question. It's not something we have to tell the customer. It's just there. Like when we send an invoice and it shows the payment instructions, it says like, type in your invoice number and then put in the amount you're going to pay. And like, that's it. Like, that's what it is. If they're like, I can only pay half now and pay half later, then okay, cool, do that. But like most customers are just paying the full invoice. It's like, if you're buying anything on the internet, you're paying for the order, you're paying for whatever it is. Like how often do you go to like a tool place and order something? You're like, I'll pay 50% now and I'll pay the other 50% later. Like, it's just not a thing. They just pay the whole order. It's that easy. It's not like I'm being a dick. I'm just like, pay this.
No, it's a good point. I mean, I'm sure I could, with most of our customers that do the purchase order thing, they could probably, pay every time. But I also have customers that place 30, 40 orders a week. And that would be weird to like pay every time you place an order. So like, look, send over your POs and then once a week, pay all your stuff, and so I'm fine with that.
That's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What movie traumatized you the most as a kid?
Jaws.
Ooh.
I have my Jaws shirt on today too.
Jaws was traumatizing, but
I won't go in the ocean.
It's still, not only as a kid,
I'll tell you that right now. I won't. You do.
Yeah, you will. Yes, you will.
Dude, that's not
part
your
of our
world.
deal.
That I will go. I will go when we go with Independent, and they're going to take us fishing. But it doesn't mean I'm swimming in the water. That's not my world. If there's anywhere I can go where something's going to eat me, that's not. I don't need to belong there.
You're going in the ocean at some point. You'll get over it. I'll help you. I'll hold your hand. We'll go in there.
I told this story. Last time I went in the ocean, I got brave and I went up like nipple deep, and then like a stingray or whatever fucking swam like right next to me, and I
did you
walked
die?
on water the whole way back. I didn't. But I could have.
The movie that traumatized me the most was Enemyville Horror. It got me for sure. And like at 3:15, he woke up at 3:15 a.m. every in the middle of the night and every morning. And when I was a kid, if I ever woke up in the middle of the night and I looked over at the clock, I was terrified. Like if it said 3:15 or something, I was like, oh shit, like I'm dead. And so I would be scared. Like I wouldn't even look at the clock sometimes when I woke up in the middle of the night. Still do. I still think of that. That
remake was filmed like the next town over here. So Ryan Reynolds was hanging out, and it was kind of cool.
Cool.
The house is pretty cool to drive by and see it. But yeah.
I feel like if I was to say horror movie, and people are going to shit all over this, but when it first happened, everybody thought it was cool, was Blair Witch. Like I thought that was like...
That was pretty awesome, yeah.
Like when it first came out and people still thought it was found footage, that was like
it was real.
Like it was real. Like, oh, they made this, they put this footage together. And then the funny thing was, is you're a kid, you're watching that, and then like, you're like freaked out by it or whatever. And then you watch like the movie awards, like MTV movie awards, and the cast like gets up and goes on the thing. You're like, whoa, what the fuck? They died. Some witch killed them in the woods.
And they made that movie for like $10,000 or something crazy.
Yeah. And they made like stupid amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
2 or 3 of them, right?
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
they got horrible after that.
Like all the Scream movies.
Yeah. I don't watch, like, generally I watch a ton of movies. Like, that's my favorite thing. I pretty much stay away from like just stupid horror movies. Like, people are going to shit on me for that too. But like, I'm not talking like good movies, like with a good story, but I'm talking like the cheesy horror movie of like some dude's running after you with a chainsaw and you're like, oh, I'll run up in the attic. Like, I'm going to run upstairs. It's like, or, hey, there's 5 of us. Let's all go in different directions. It's like, this is stupid. This is the same movie over and over and over and over again. It's like, just make something cool. Like, I don't know. I just don't care for it.
Another question. At what point of your printing career was there ever a time where you're like, holy shit, like, I'm actually doing this? Like, you saw something on TV somebody was wearing, or you saw, not just people out in public, but you saw your shirts that you printed somewhere where you didn't expect it. And you're like, holy fuck, I did that.
I feel like there's a couple of those where I've seen them either on TV or whatever. I used to just always get a kick out of when somebody that I looked up to as a kid, or even now, like something I'm interested, like if it's a band or whatever, and like I had no intentions of printing for them or whatever. They were just someone I love. And then they hit us up. They're like, oh, I found you on this or whatever, and I want to work with you. That's what blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Is like just cool things like that happen randomly, where it's like some artist or some movie. Like, we had a video game company or whatever hit us up, and we printed like a ton of these shirts. It was Dying Light, that Xbox game.
Mm-hmm.
And they hit us up and we printed all the shirts for that. And it was just cool to be like, oh, we like Xbox. Like, it was really awesome to print that stuff.
We'd like 4, please.
Yeah. Just send us some games, whatever. Stuff like that's always really cool. Like, that always gets us going. Like,
Has that happened to you, Nate?
I've just been recently printing for some wrestlers. Right when I first started, there was this high school kid up near Milwaukee, and his dad was the wrestling promoter in Milwaukee. And me and a bunch of buddies would go to this event called Blizzard Brawl, and we just go there and drink and have fun and heckle. And well, what I did is it was a kid's first match. He was a senior in high school, or maybe a junior. And I printed some shirts that were the old NWO logo, but I wrote Cal's our pal because his name is Cal. So we kind of gave him a push, and now it's kind of coming back full circle to where he's in AEW and OVW, and they're on TNT and stuff. So this kid that we gave a push back in the day, he's now wrestling on on TV, and you're like, holy shit, like, there's a kid that we printed for just for shits and giggles to have a good time and make the kid not feel so nervous in the ring. And so it's that, or a lot of the local brands that I print for, and you see people out and about, but other than that, it's
like you said though, like, you saw a kid when he was like just starting, like he was nothing. He was just trying to make it work. That's the coolest thing too, is when you work with companies that come to you and you kind of form a bond with, and you like know the owner, and you're like have a real good relationship, and you get to see their business actually grow, like not just like fizzle out. Like a clothing line that's like, oh, we're going to be huge. And then they buy like one of each design and you never hear from them again. But like somebody who like grows and grows and grows, and they grew with you, like that's
right.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
So next question, who was your favorite wrestler back in the day, if you had one?
I have never watched wrestling ever. And I don't know what it is. I'm going to butcher this too. What is the one that like travels, like the WWE one that travels? Is it like SmackDown or something? They go to like different things.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
We had one here, like local or whatever. And a buddy of mine who owns like a taco place in Binghamton was like, oh, hey, we have tickets for the box, like the booth or whatever, like the one like fancy booth thing. And it was funny because like the one guy who works here that like loved wrestling, like he was like, yeah, I'm going to go to this wrestling thing or whatever. I was like, all right, cool. Like he bought tickets and whatever. And I think his tickets were kind of like nosebleed tickets, like shit tickets. And then like at like 5:30, like he had already left for the day. And at like 5:30, my buddy hit me up and was like, hey, I have this tickets to this thing. Do you want to go? And we were all like, fuck it, let's just go. And it was funny. We were in the box, like watching this wrestling thing. And we called Eric and we were like, hey, look up. And we were like in the booth, like in the box or whatever. And he was in his shit seat. And he was so pissed at us that like none of us care at all about wrestling. And like the one who cared had to pay for his own ticket and he was in a shit seat. So
that's funny.
For me, I don't know if you've caught this recently, and I might have mentioned this on a couple episodes ago, was that there's a thing right now on, I think it's A&E, that's going over all of this like biopics on all the wrestlers. I watched probably 6 or 8 of them. It's so good. I watched Randy Savage. I watched Andre the Giant. Who else? Like Hulk Hogan. I know it's amazing. Like they did such a great job. And I had no idea like the history of some of this stuff and like how they came up, like Stone Cold on how he came up with his name. It was just so cool, you know? And so I didn't have a favorite wrestler growing up. I watched some of it sometimes, but I wasn't addicted to it. I had a Stretch Armstrong though, if that counts for anything.
Yeah. I used to watch it a lot back in the 90s and when I was in middle school and stuff like that. But now I like to go to the more independent shows where the has-beens from the 90s are there. Mm-hmm. And you can see they're like 60 years old and their bodies are falling apart. They're doing it for like $50 and, you know, just to, that's what I like about it.
It's like fake and it's all choreographed and it is kind of worked out and everything, but they really do hurt each other. I mean, they really do throw each other off out of the ring and onto tables and shit. And they dislocate and break their vertebra and shit like that. I mean, it's real.
There's another thing on
big toll on
YouTube, but Dark Side of the Ring, where it goes into like history of like how some of these messed up wrestlers thought, or like ones that died in the ring. Like it goes through the storylines of the real life of what happened those days. So those are kind of cool to watch.
What grosses me out is when they like cut themselves like razor blades and stuff to like, make it like bloody and gross. I'm like, that's fucking sick, dude.
I just think they that's their passion. You know?
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Ours might be being here, you know, doing this, and theirs is making $50 a week.
I totally respect them. Like I just, it was never my thing to like super get into wrestling, which is funny is like where I'm from in Binghamton, like we have a mall. It's a shit mall. It used to be really good. Obviously malls used to be like the best thing ever, but our mall's kind of like going to hell. And like all the stores have almost left. There's like some small stores, but like you said, there's like an underground wrestling company who like bought like JCPenney or whatever, like, or are renting the huge store. And they put in like a wrestling ring and everything. And I had to deliver an order to like a company that was in the mall a little while ago. And like the whole parking lot was packed with cars. And I was like, what? People are going back to the mall again? Like what's happening? And I like went in the mall and like the mall was dead. Like 90% of the mall was like nobody. It was like tumbleweeds and shit. And I get to the other end of the mall because I was curious. And I started hearing people being like, yeah, fuck yeah. And I was like, what is happening? And I like went to the door and looked in and like some dude was like straight up like had some guy over his head, like throwing him out of the ring. And I was just like, holy shit, there's like full on wrestling happening in here. So I think the underground thing is like super taken off right now. Like, I mean, it probably has been for a while, but like, I feel like people are stoked to see that.
Who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh man. From back in the day, I'd say probably Andre the Giant was probably one of my favorites. Just his story, like, you know, the story coming from France and how he could just crush beers.
It's just a massive dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Nowadays, I don't really have a favorite, but I don't watch it too much.
Do you have any more questions for us, or is it our turn?
I think it's your turn.
No, we got shop hacks, I think.
Oh yeah, shop hacks.
So we have two things left: shop hacks and a listener question. But I don't know if you have any listener questions because we did a lot of them last week.
I don't have any new ones.
I have one. You want me to do it real quick?
We'll let him do shop hacks first.
Sure. Whatever, boss. You got it. Shop hacks. It is.
So the first few months that I opened, I just had my cell phone number out there on the door and on business cards, and I was getting texts at like 11 o'clock at night talking about shirts, and I'm like, shit, they know it's a cell phone. I'm not going to respond right now. There's an app. Andy, I think you talked about this too, some sort of app thing, but it's called the Sideline app, to where you can have two phone lines on your phone, and you can have auto responses on there, and it can direct it to the landline phone too. So if somebody texts me on that Sideline app, it'll just say, I'm currently with another customer, or I'm printing. Please call the landline phone number and I'll get back to you. So it's just an auto response just to let them know that I got their text. And yeah, it seems to work out, but
How much does that cost?
I think it's like $9 a month, which isn't bad, but I just like it because it does have that auto response right away to let people know, hey, I saw your stuff, but I'm currently, printing. Or
just that one time of someone calling you that's a new customer, and then you getting auto response where they get it and they leave you a message and it gets you a new order is totally worth the $9 just for one customer. It's a no-brainer if it works for you.
Well, and like I said, on the weekends, I was having people call my personal cell phone number, and I'm like, I can't be doing that when I'm at home, or,
Right.
I try to stick to office hours. Like if you're calling me at 6 o'clock at night and I'm still here, I'll just let it go to the voicemail. Sometimes I'll pick up if I recognize who it is, but I'll let it go to voicemail and call them back tomorrow, because I don't want to interrupt what I'm trying to finish up, or, just trying to stay on task at hand. But, have you guys ever used a 5-gallon bucket when doing sleeve prints?
I
No.
don't think so. What's that about?
So where does the majority of the shirt is like dragging on the ground when you're doing a sleeve? Maybe if you're doing like I do a lot of sleeve prints on the next to the wrist.
Yeah.
So do you guys have cardboard or something on the ground?
We always feed it through the neck on a sleeve pallet, and then you put the whole arm on.
Yeah.
And then usually what we're doing on the auto is we're taking the rest of it and we're flipping it over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know what you're talking. Depends. Sometimes, depending on a weird print, we would, if it was going to touch the ground, we would take a bunch of new cardboard boxes and lay them around the press so that it didn't drag on the ground.
What's the deal with the bucket though?
Yeah.
So on that Rogue printers, I didn't want to deal with having cardboard all over, tripping on it, whatever.
Right.
You put the 5-gallon bucket after your pallet, and then you load your shirt up, and then you stick the rest of the shirt in the bucket. Have you ever seen that?
And then
I tried it.
Yeah.
And if you're on the manual, it just spins around. So when you're pulling your shirt off,
So the bucket's hanging underneath?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I get it. I just
it's on the bucket's hanging on your pallet arm.
Yeah. I haven't done it on my automatic, just on the manual. Like if I'm doing,
Right.
I'm, like 15 buckets hanging on your auto.
If you're loading cuff first, then you're going to have a ton of stuff hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just feed through the neck, then all your extra stuff is going to be at the far end, the furthest end from the pallet.
The cuff.
Then you can just flip it over the pallet arm, and then it never touches the ground.
That's still a hassle. Like it kind of sucks. Flipping
It's an extra step, but I mean, I don't know if I have 14 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah, you could though.
You could.
Like
it's
said,
a good idea. I've never seen it before. That's cool.
I just do it on my 4-color manual if I've got a short run of.
So what are you hanging the bucket from though? Is it like?
So I'll pull the pallet off, and then I'll put the bucket
on
through where the pallet on the pallet arm, and So it's sitting behind the pallet a little bit, about 6 inches, and then you're tucking the rest of that shirt into it. That's if you're just throwing the cuff on and printing. Spin it around if you got to flash it, and then
makes sense. I've never seen it. It's cool. I like hearing ones I've never heard before. That's awesome.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna go tomorrow. I'm gonna try it. Like I'm just gonna stick a bucket on there just to see like it's even like on an auto. You know what I mean? Not for the manual, for the auto.
I've never done it on the auto, but you'd have to take your pallet. There might be a pain in the ass because you have to take your pallets off and throw them on there. And then
yeah, that's okay. I mean, we're changing for the sleeve pallet in that instance anyway. So when we pull the pallet off and we put before we put the sleeve pallet on, we just put a bucket on. I mean, if it works. All right.
I'm just, instead of it stuff dragging and,
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Totally. Yeah.
I think that's about it because listening to the shows every week, there's a lot of hacks. Oh, I did purchase these.
Yeah. I saw some the other day.
That was Panther Printing told us about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife fucking hates them.
How are they?
They're comfortable. I mean, if you're not wearing any socks, you sweat. Your feet sweat like a son of a bitch. But it's just like the rubber mats, like you're walking around on a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
My wife says that they're hideous, but
she's not printing at the shop with you all day long, though.
Yeah.
No, but I come home and we walk around the neighborhood and I have them on.
Oh, hell yeah.
He takes out to dinner with them on too.
Yeah.
So.
It's got like jean shorts and like long, like tall white socks on.
Yeah, Dad. Yeah, so she gets those Birkenstocks, but they're the same material. And I'm like, what the fuck? Those are the same thing as these. She's like, yeah, but these are stylish. I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I blew up.
All right. You had a listener question?
I do. This week's question comes from Alexa from In-House Prints. And she says, has screen printing ever made you cry? She would ask that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
any of us?
Nate, you go first.
I would say, oh, okay, go ahead.
I don't think it's made me cry. It's, I've taken aggression on a couple boxes before, just turn around and turn that Sprint 2000 right off and lock up and
call it a night.
Walk out and I'll come back the next day and cool down a little bit. But
Andy,
I have cried on a few occasions, probably. Yeah,
just before we got on.
Yeah, just earlier, I got a good cry in.
Mm-hmm. Therapeutic.
No, I think one time, one of the times that comes to mind is that I terminated somebody, and it wasn't the kind of termination that felt good. They cried actually too, and so it was just emotional moment. So yeah, I cried. That was more of like just this business, running a business made me cry. I mean, it didn't have to be screen printing. It could have been any business I was running. It was terminating somebody sucks. Like you don't want to have to ever do that. And at one time it was, it just made me upset. But I don't think I've cried because of like printing shirts. You know what I mean? I've been, like you said, I've been upset. I've been pissed. I've thrown stuff, but
I think I'm gonna Tom Hanks, A League of Their Own, and say there's no crying in screen printing. I don't think I've ever cried over screen printing.
Have you ever cried, Dylan?
No, I haven't shed a single tear.
All right, so that leaves us with quick takes.
Okay.
Am
I going first?
You go first.
What is your go-to beverage?
It used to be, I used to drink coffee all day long, but now my wife and I are on like a 60-day detox thing. So every week they take out like sugar, caffeine, different things. So now it's just water. All
right. Cleanse aside, what would be your go-to beverage?
It'd be coffee.
Like if you were like, I really need a drink and this is what I really want, it would be coffee.
I feel you. I mean, coffee's great.
I'm not knocking coffee. I'm just saying, like, is there something you're like, say you go into like the best convenience store and they have all the drinks in the cooler in front of you. What's like the one you'd be like, oh, hell
Well,
yeah,
maybe
they
not
have
coffee then because you're in a convenience store.
I'm just saying, there's got to be like, you're like, oh, hell yeah, I love chocolate milk. Fucking, I don't know.
I used to drink a lot of tea also. So I guess it would probably be.
Okay. See, that's what I was pulling for.
Unsweetened tea, not pure leaf.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck them.
So
I don't know. I like his first answer, water. That's a good one too. That's probably my go-to right now, but it's not if I'm in a convenience store. You're right. I have the next question, and it's because you're from Wisconsin, and so we want to know what your favorite cheese is.
Oh, I would say
American. Kraft singles.
I would say some sort of queso. Some sort of like a.
He curveballed me with that one. I wasn't expecting
Me
that.
too. I should have asked him the salsa or queso question, and I got rid of that just because he's from Wisconsin. I'm like, man, this guy knows his cheese.
Yeah. But I actually haven't had cheese in probably 2 years.
Oh, why?
Yeah. No dairy. None of that.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Respect. That's probably, maybe it's a little healthier lifestyle. I get it. But what was I going to say? Oh, queso though. So basically, if you did have to choose a cheese, you're going to go with just melted, like anything melted.
Yeah.
As long as it's melted.
If I could dip something in it.
Okay. I get it. I like queso too.
He likes fondue then.
I've never had
Dylan?
fondue.
Best recent read, listen, or watch.
Authentic was really good. I missed that book club, but I started listening to that book a second time. That was a really good book.
Yeah.
I hear that book club kind of took a shit on you. That last one.
The internet cut out.
One?
The Zoom cut out.
It was
good for a while.
almost over. Like we were into it for, I don't know what happened, maybe like an hour in, I want to say. So we had a lot there, but then you're right. Yeah, it just crashed.
No,
so Clubhouse it is.
Good read. That was a good read, and right now I'm in the middle of a Gene Wilder book that he wrote back in the day. Some sort of memoir thing.
What are you watching right now? Watch is what I was interested in.
Oh, the only thing I watch is The Office on repeat. That or Parks and Rec. I know you. I heard in a previous episode you're like, fuck that.
Yeah, I hate that stuff.
I don't really watch anything. I mean,
well, I gotta say, you said earlier your wife is watching Lost.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone warned her about how that show ends?
No.
Have you seen it?
No, we were kayaking yesterday, and my employee was with too, and he was telling her like, "Oh, wait till this happens." And she's like, "Thomas, shut the fuck up." I haven't seen it either. I don't.
Okay, well, I watched Lost. When I'm not going to ruin anything.
You could tell me because this is stuff I can hang over her head.
Okay, so I watched Lost when it came out, like that. You watch all the seasons like every week, like one episode, and then you're like, oh shit, yeah, next week one episode, and it was a great series. It was very like filmed really well. It was cool, but it was one of those shows where in the beginning everybody has their theories about how it's going to end. Like the very first thing, everybody was like, oh, they're in purgatory, and they're like, no, it's got to be this other thing. And it's just like when it ends, it's all the shit everybody said it was in the beginning. It's just like a super letdown at the end. You're just like, wow, cool. Glad I fucking wasted whatever it was, like 8 years or something watching this show.
So I'll go home on my lunch break and eat. And she's usually like trying to binge watch a show before she goes back to her office. And I'm trying to have a conversation. She's like, stop it. I'm watching this. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I just want to come home.
Just be like, hey, fine, whatever. It's purgatory. You don't have to watch it anymore.
No, other than that, I watch a lot of older movies, 70s, 80s movies.
80s movies,
Fast Times
yeah.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
Karate Kid, stuff like that.
Did you watch the Cobra Kai thing they have now?
I did. I liked it. At first I didn't like it, but it's pretty rare that my wife and I can agree on a show together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that. I think Last Kingdom. Have you seen that on Netflix? It's like a Viking show.
Is it a series or a movie?
Yeah, it's a series.
I think I did see it on there.
Turn.
I haven't watched it. No,
Turn
that was like was that one like Revolutionary War or something like that?
Yeah, like George Washington's spies or something that was playing both sides. But
yeah. No, I usually get sucked into really long shows. Like X-Files is my favorite show. So like that one's super, super long. But we just finished West Wing, which was super long as well. And now I'm trying to watch ER, and that's a million seasons. And I just started ER, so I'll be doing that for the next 5 years.
My wife and I sit down and watch a show, and I fall asleep within 10 minutes, and then I get a recap the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Then I fall asleep, and then I get a recap, and then she gets like 5 episodes ahead of me, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with it. I don't care anymore.
Right.
I'm guilty of that same thing. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self had 2 kids, and all I was doing was just busting my ass, throwing block around. But I guess I just kind of went through the motions, and I never really did anything I was passionate about because I had responsibilities. I wasn't willing to take a risk, but I wish I would have been more of a risk taker back then.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard to take risks like that when you have 2 kids.
Well, when you have kids real young, you have responsibilities. But if I didn't have kids, I would have. Who knows where I'd be right now?
Right. But it's a different story.
Right.
Well, hey, you're here, man.
Yeah, your advice to your 20-year-old self would be then to just take more risks.
Yeah. Which I feel like a lot of like my daughters right now, they don't know what they want to do. My oldest daughter's wants to graduate high school early. So in this coming December, she could graduate, and there's programs out there where she can get college credit for free if she's still a high school student. She's like, no, I just want to start UW Whitewater, a month after I graduate in December. And we're like, well, why the hell wouldn't you take advantage of the programs that are free? She's like, well, I just want to experience college. And we're like, I don't think you just want to get in debt right off the bat. But I feel like kids nowadays, they don't really want to, they're not really passionate about anything, it seems like. So
I feel like the hard part is like me and some friends had this discussion the other day of like how you have your parents like at your fingertips to be like, tell me what you did wrong and how you fixed it. And like, the playbook of like do's and don'ts kind of thing. And your parents will always tell you, be like, don't do this because this is going to happen. And you're always just like, fuck you. Like, I'm still going to do this because it's fun and I want to do this. But in reality, it's like your parents did the same bullshit you're trying to do. And like they crash and burn hard and they're trying to tell you like, hey, don't do that. And then you still do that shit. And it's like, I wish you just had like confirmation at certain ages of like, oh, maybe I should like take what my parents have to say as like, this is actually the way this is. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they were just making it up as they went along too, though. It's like when you become a parent, you're like, now I realize my parents didn't know what the fuck they were talking about either. They're just kind of pulling shit out of the, so like.
But I feel like a lot of that's like parent advice of like, maybe you should do this, maybe you shouldn't do this. I'm saying like the stuff they actually did. And they're like, yeah, I tried this and like, this is what happens. I just feel like I would have soaked in a lot more of that stuff because I feel like I had a lot of that where people were like trying to give me advice of stuff that they actually did and accomplished and like business advice and stuff. You know what I mean? Like we learned the hard way in business of like trial and error and stuff. And it's like, that's why a lot of businesses kind of go in another direction when like they hand it off to their kids, because their kids didn't have to do any of the hard shit to get to where they are. So they look at it as like, oh, this is just a money making machine. And it's like, no, like we learned all this stuff to get to here. Like you should.
I just heard that it goes like this. The first generation builds the business. The second generation spends the money.
Right.
The third generation destroys the business. Yeah. That's the way it's happened a lot. And it's very difficult, I think, to hand down, a family business. I don't know that it's, I mean,
you just have to have the passion and like work in it.
Yeah. But who knows if you necessarily have that passion. When I was young, so you mentioned earlier, like kids nowadays, you're not sure if they have a passion for everything. Like I didn't, I wanted to go to Wall Street. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm going to go, maybe I'll go to Wall Street and be a stockbroker or something like that, cause it sounded cool. Like you could make a buck or something, but I didn't even know what that really meant. I got an internship at a brokerage firm and I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And so it took me a while to figure it out. I mean, I did all kinds of things. Like I moved to Colorado because I thought, well, I mean, that's just probably what I want to do. And I just was riding my bike and I was a hippie and I was like, no, I actually want to do other stuff. And so I ran into screen printing. Like I got so lucky that I ran into one day just printing a t-shirt and I was like, I fell in love, and if I hadn't had that moment that happened to me, I mean, who knows what I would have ended up doing. So I don't know. I got lucky one day.
I guess it's all going back to the question. It's all kind of keeping your eyes open for opportunities. Mm-hmm. When I was 20 years old, I didn't give a shit I didn't have any idea of what opportunities that were giving to me that I could have taken and ran with. And that's kind of what we're trying to teach our daughters. Like college might not be for you, which is good, but there's other opportunities that are right in front of you, even, here growing with True. Me as their dad. Like that's an opportunity, seeing my struggles, seeing how much work is into it, but also like having the satisfaction of like, because of me, I don't have to work, or my dad doesn't have to be there 12 hours a day, or, like it's a self gratification that comes with that, I guess. And I just wish I would have saw opportunities better when I was younger.
Yeah. There was a girl that is actually like my wife's cousin's daughter or whatever, who babysits our kids sometimes. And she just graduated high school and I showed up the other day to get the kids and she was like, Dylan, can I ask you some advice? And I was like, oh God, like, what could you possibly want from me? And she was like, should I go to college or not? And I was like, whoa. And I told her, I was like, our generation, I feel like everybody was like, you have to go to school, or you're not going to amount to anything. And then nowadays, I feel like it's just kind of like we learned, like, if you have a passion for something, like I'm like Andy, where like I've kind of fell into screen printing and I got passionate about it and took, I didn't know this is what I wanted to do, but like, if you were interested in graphic design, I feel like you could just do it, just draw every day, or like constantly make stuff and put stuff out there. And then like eventually like you're going to become, professional at it because you're just doing it constantly and you have all the skills and the knowledge and whatever else. It's like, unless you're going to go do something that requires like a doctor or a teacher or something where you have to have like that certification of like, I did this, then I would say like, don't go unless you just want to blow money and like have that college experience.
That's really good advice, Dylan. Did her parents give you a mean look after you?
No, I told, like, Carl walked in the room, like her dad, and he was like, I was like, I don't know if I want to tell you this in front of your dad. And he looked at me and he was like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm on the same page as you. And I was like, all right. So I just told her, I was like, don't fucking go. Like, she was like, I don't know what I want to do. So I'm just going to like go take these credits and like get a liberal arts degree or something. I was like, that is the biggest waste of fucking time and money. Like they have like an organic farm. Like they have like tons of like kuni pigs and like all this crazy like organic meats and stuff that they make. And she's like super into like the animals. And I was like, if you want to do stuff like that, just keep doing it. Like if you have 10 years experience working with these animals and you want to go get a job somewhere like Cornell, which is close to us, like working with the same kind of animals there. Like if you walked into an interview for that job and said, I already have 10 years experience on this farm working with these animals, they're going to hire you over someone who's like, I just went to school for 4 years and I've never touched an animal before, but this is what I want to do. Like, just do the thing that you're passionate about and just keep doing it and learn from people like jackasses like us on the internet. Don't go spend $300,000 on school.
That's what my wife did.
Yeah. Well, we all did. I went to school.
That's the same thing. Like we told our daughters, we're like, I mean, that's an opportunity too. You could work 2.5 days a week and hire another doctor at your office and have that freedom. But yeah, you're going to have debt when it comes with it, or open up a sandwich shop,
right.
Invest in a food truck. Like
just do
something.
Yeah.
Don't,
exactly.
that's all,
Start an electric car company.
Yeah. I just feel like if you're passionate about something, like if you grew up with like a hobby that's like something you're really passionate about, then pursue that. But like if you just don't know what you want to go to school for, like if you can go to school to be some like electrical engineer and that's like super what you're passionate about, then hell yeah, go to the greatest school for that and gain all the knowledge you can gain. But like if you don't know what you want to go for, then just don't go. It doesn't.
You losing your headphones?
I got an alert for it. Yeah. But
all right. So what is the most Wisconsin thing you do?
Tailgate, drink beer and tailgate.
Where do you tailgate at?
Well, it was Miller Park, but now it's American Family Field. I go to a lot of Brewer games. I try to take my kids, and I travel to different stadiums and try to check those off.
That's awesome.
When I was a kid, of course I'm St. Louis, right? When I was a kid, I always loved the Brewers logo. I thought that was so cool. Like whoever came up with that. And I didn't even know I was going to be in design or t-shirts or anything.
I always loved the Raiders logo.
It was a contest. They had a contest out there for that design, with it being the ball and glove logo.
Mm-hmm.
But
so cool. Dylan, there's one more question before the final question.
All right, I'll take it. What would you be doing if you weren't printing t-shirts?
I could say the easy question would just be construction stuff, but
well, what else are you passionate about that's not construction or t-shirts?
You'd be a wrestler, a pro wrestler.
I could see it.
Independent, yeah, not professional. I do more of the hit up the Midwest VFW.
All right, don't fucking act like you haven't thought about this. But what would your wrestler name be?
I was just going to ask the same thing.
So I used to tell all these bricklayers, I'm like, we'd be a tag team, Mickey Mason and Tommy Tender, or like like Mason Tender, and then like and we come out to another brick in the wall.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Or I'd be the Great Dane because I'm Danish, and I'd have like a Danish flag on my trunks, and
Yeah, but you'd have to be like super
my underwear.
Themed. Yeah. But I like the brick one because you could like throw bricks at people.
Yeah. Come out with a level or a shovel and,
I think you have to do it now. Well, I kind of told this story a little while ago. I think did I tell it in a pregame or did I tell it in the actual episode how we came up with Frank? Like the Frank.
Oh, no.
Did we talk about that?
No.
Andy, do you remember this at all?
Mm-mm.
Chris and Brian like made a fake like wrestling tag team duo and their names were going to be Frank and Beans. And when Chris was, I don't remember who was Frank and who was Beans, but like when Chris came out, we were going like Frank. So that's why when we said Frank, when we first started doing this, I started doing Frank because that's where that came from, was from Frank and Beans, from them wrestling.
Some of those gimmicks that they have
right there.
Yeah. Some of those gimmicks are really weird, but
I like the bricklayer one though. I think that has to happen. It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, finish her off.
All right, Nate, what is for dinner?
Since we're on this detox, we've been taking a bunch of stuff out, and my wife made it's cauliflower with walnuts, and you chop them up in like a food processor thing, and you add a bunch of spices, and it tastes just like taco meat. So that's what we're having. Try it out. Don't believe me.
You're gonna have tacos, but you're not.
But
so
it's not going to be taco. It's not taco meat. It's cauliflower and walnuts and
in a taco shell, like a corn shell.
Yeah,
but you can't have cheese.
There's a vegan cheese out there that has that's made out of cashew something.
All right.
And you can melt it, and then he's got queso.
I'm going to live forever, so that way, I can be in the ring at
right. Makes total sense.
100 years old and still throw people around.
Well,
Andy,
thanks for talking to us. Oh, what am I eating tonight? Because we're recording later. I'm eating by myself, so I don't even know.
I ate beforehand.
It's later there. It's even later where you are at.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock here.
I haven't eaten yet.
I have to coat like 150 screens as soon as we're done with this.
Well, we better wrap this up. How are you coating those, Dylan? Are you going to coat them 1-1?
Yeah, 1-1 round side.
Round. See, that's good. I'm just changing over to that at myself, I think, because we just changed our emulsions. But hey,
what are you using for emulsion?
I use Multitex Blue with Diazo.
Yeah,
that's my go-to. Andy, what are you switching to? Chromaline?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I was using that one for a long time, and then Bob at Graphic Screen Fashion talked me into PS Graphics Red. Have you ever tried that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Dude, there's so many emulsions out there.
I know. It's crazy.
The worst part is like we get dialed with an emulsion. Like we finally got this one, Multitex Blue, that's like worked super good with iMage and like no issues with like humidity and temperature. And like, it just prints really well. It works really well. And then my distributor will come in and be like, oh, I want you to try, like I brought you in a gallon of this. I want you to try it. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking trying anything. Like I finally have this one dialed in. Like I'm going to stick with this. I'm not changing. I'm not doing it. Like I'm going to stick with this until I have an issue where I need to change. Yeah.
We have a new light exposure unit coming.
Right. Well, that's an issue to change because you have something else.
And because you coat 1-1 round, and if you change emulsion, your solids content can be completely different. And so all of a sudden you have to change that up too.
Well, I actually had this conversation. I know we're going longer, but I had this conversation with, I can't remember if it was Rick. Was it Rick? I don't know. I had a conversation with somebody about emulsion, and they were saying that they really like this one emulsion, but in the summer it acted totally different because the temperature changes. Like in the winter, it's cold and it's thicker, and it coats the screen a certain way because it's thicker. Mm-hmm. And then in the summer it's really watery. So they're getting like their EOM's changing like with seasons. So they were like, oh, what we do is we just put our emulsion in a mini fridge. Like, so no matter what time of year it is, whatever, it's always that same consistency. So I was like, oh,
I've heard if you put it in a fridge too, you can extend the shelf life. Like we don't ever have to worry about that. But if you're trying to extend the shelf life of your emulsion, then refrigerate it. I just said that our darkroom is temperature controlled. So like it's always like 75 and like 50% humidity in there. So it's pretty much the same all the time. But the fridge idea was a good idea. Well, Nate, hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate you doing this with us, and I hope you enjoy your cauliflower nut tacos.
Sounds awesome. And I will send you that email for Nick.
Yeah,
okay?
Thank you.
Yep,
for sure. I'll tell Frank tomorrow you guys said hi.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And please keep sending us dad jokes.
Will do.
Like I'm expecting one on every video.
I'll see what I can do. Thanks,
dude.
Thanks, man.
Have a good night, man.
Thanks, you too.